Okay, so before this video starts, I just wanna say that this isn't my story. It's a fanfic. The link will be in the description, which will have other links as well. Also, with these videos I don't listen to the videos I upload, so if there is anything that is too bad or explicit for YouTube, then let me know and please timestamp it. Anyways, let's get into the video.
Hello?
Anime demigod.
Here?
Naruto was humming as he made his way to the adult casino. His henge was impossible to break by those who didn't know a thing about chakra. He walked in with all his earnings, and came out with nearly 50 million Pokemon dollars. More than enough to buy the machines he planned to send back. "Hey Naruto! Over here," shouted Obito. It was his turn to go into the past. "Hey Obito! Did Granny pick which ones she wanted?" "You mean the healing machines?" "Yeah, I have the magazine you gave her. She said she circled the ones she wanted." "Good. Now all I have to do is order and seal them up." "Yeah, I just came here to deliver your other order for cover seals and get your reports." "Where is this place anyway?" "Celadon City." "Come on Obito, why don't you come with me and we'll hit them all?" "Sounds like a better idea than cleaning out the pond." "Mind if I send a request to Tsunade to have a Genin team do it?" "Sure, but Hinata has to supervise," said Naruto. Obito left Celadon with a whole new wardrobe, some new Pokemon, courtesy of the Game Corner, and plenty of evolutionary stones. Apparently they sold them in bulk at the mall. Considering Naruto had given him 1,000,000 Pokemon dollars to blow in the shops, Obito came out relatively light. Then again, he had been sealing all of his purchases almost immediately after leaving the store. His back was still killing him though. "That was hell," said Obito. Never before had he been grateful Konoha wasn't near any major shopping centers. "Tell you what. How about I make it up with dinner and a trip to the gym?" "It better be a good dinner," said Obito. "I'll find the best restaurant in town," Naruto promised. Obito growled, but he calmed down when Naruto bought him an ice cream. He had the money to spare, since most of it was going towards buying the machines. The battle is between Naruto of Konoha versus Erika, gym leader of Celadon City. This will be a 3-on-3 battle. The challenger is allowed to switch Pokemon at any time, and use healing items. "The winner will be declared when all 3 Pokemon on either team have fainted," said the ref. "Go, Tsuki-chan. Your Dratini egg finally hatched," said Obito from the sidelines. "Her name is Tsuki-chan. Anko's going to be happy to hear that," said Obito. "Go, Gloom," said Erika. Naruto noted with amusement that Erika had already covered her Pokeball with the leaf green coloring. "Tsuki-chan, use Dragon Breath." The young Dratini, she was barely level 15, shot flames at the Gloom with perfect accuracy. "Anko sure loves those egg moves, doesn't she?" said Obito, noting the power of the flames with a critical eye. "Breeders who specialize in egg moves as well as breed get more money for the eggs," said Naruto. "Gloom, use poison powder," shouted Erika. "Tsuki-chan, Twister." The dragon-type move sent the powder all around, and nowhere near Tsuki-chan. "Now Tsuki-chan, use extreme speed." Tsuki-chan hit Gloom so fast that Erika barely had time to blink. It was out cold before it hit the floor. "As a healer of Pokemon, I can bring out a lot of hidden talent. And shiny Pokemon have a lot of hidden talent," said Naruto. "So I can see." "Very well, go Weepin' Bell. Return, Tsuki-chan. Go, Kurama." "Yikes, so the rumors that they were downgraded weren't rumors after all," said Obito, noticing how much smaller Kurama had gotten. "You really should pay attention to your opponents," said Erika, a bit miffed they weren't even looking at her. "Kurama, fire spin," said Naruto. 9. A tornado of flames lifted Weepin' Bell off the floor and it crashed into a tree, passed out. Erika twitched. He hadn't even looked at her Pokemon and he still knocked it out with a single hit. What sort of trainer was he? "Go, Vileplume. Shifter, time to shine buddy." V. Vileplume, use sleep powder. Shifter, use icy wind. Erika stared in shock when Shifter jumped above the powder and twirled in a circle to become Glacian. The icy blast froze the powder which fell to the ground. "Now, use Dark Tackle." The shift between Glacian to Umbreon was so fast that Erika barely had time to see the change as Shifter tackled Vileplume while cloaked in dark energy. HOH, not many stay standing after a hit like that from Shifter. Especially with one of the attacks I helped to create. "Not all gym leaders are as easy to beat as you seem to believe," said Erika calmly. "Yeah, But you don't put nearly as much training as we do, said Obito. Alright then Shifter, use Dig. Dunion. Vile. Vileplume was sent flying as Shifter hit the plant Pokemon from below. Vileplume is unable to battle. Winner is Naruto of Konoha and Shifter. V. Erika ended up joining the two on their dinner to talk about Shifter. Someone recklessly experimented on a Pokemon, said Erika horrified. It took Shifter several weeks to fully trust me, and it took years before Hanane-chan could get him to trust her without me in the same room. The poor thing, said Erika. If I ever became a ranger, then the Pokemon I would choose as my partner would always be Shifter. I love all my Pokemon, but he'll always be my partner, said Naruto proudly. V. Barked Shifter from his head. The same goes for me and Combusken, agreed Obito. Your Torchic finally evolved. So did Apom, said Obito. By the way, did Haku's egg that he got from spring ever hatch? Yeah, it was some giant floating snowflake. According to Tsunade-sama, it's a really rare ice type. She was surprised that the village let Haku have it without a fuss, since according to them it's almost never seen, said Obito. Ha! A snowflake suits him perfectly, laughed Naruto. So Naruto-san, how goes your little stand? You mean the cover stand? Thanks to my absurd luck I was able to turn the money I earned selling those into enough cash to buy the machine our leader picked, said Naruto. It's true. His luck at gambling has an inverse effect on his luck while outside the village, said Obito. How so? A simple errand to another town can turn into an adventure all on its own. About the only good thing is that traveling with him tends to increase the number of Pokemon on your team. If you're looking for a specific one, then the chances of coming across it increase exponentially, said Obito. Plus there's the fact that for some weird reason I have the same pickup ability that some Pokemon have, said Naruto amused. I hear the bike path is open again, said Erika. Doesn't that lead to Fuchsia City? Asked Naruto. Yes it does, why? The Ninja Throwbacks City, great. Said Naruto depressed. Ninja. Started Erika. Throwback, finished Obito. Apparently the gym leader of Fuchsia likes to play ninja, but he wears those super lame outfits like the civilians wear when they want to play at being ninja, explained Naruto. Oh, that kind of throwback. I thought those died with the Dark Ages, joked Obito. Anno, why do you call him a throwback? Asked Erika. No real shinobi wears those tacky clothing anymore. Those that do are laughed at by real shinobi everywhere. Even my orange outfits are more acceptable than those things. Said Naruto with a face. We mock those that wear them because they aren't real ninja at all, said Obito, shaking his head. Naruto wasn't joking in the least that anyone caught wearing those clothes were laughed at. While his orange jacket had been hideous and attention-grabbing, it was still better than looking like a throwback. Obito, lift that side up for me, yelled Naruto. You do it. For crying out loud, your clones can pick this heavy thing up without me, yelled Obito irritated. Naruto stuck his tongue out. He made 50 clones who lifted up the heavy healing machine and placed it under a large scroll which had a very simple seal on it. Once it was in place, Naruto applied chakra and sealed it away. Obito then put the scroll in a smaller one for easier transport. Remember, get Guy or Granny to move that thing. You bet, said Obito. No way in hell was he picking it up, it had taken 60 Naruto clones working together to get that thing high enough to move. Now, to get me a bike, said Naruto. Hua! Yelled Naruto as he practically flew down the hill. Flying behind him was Trapper, who recently evolved into Vibrava the day before. Naruto had him flying next to him to strengthen his new wing muscles. When Naruto reached the fence at the very bottom of the hill, he immediately took a 10-minute break. Trapper was resting on his head. 6. Brava! Panted the poor Pokemon. Naruto held up some poffins for him. Special Acorn Edition, said Naruto. Vibrava! Cried the happy Pokemon, who munched on the snack eagerly. Naruto had given him the energy-infused poffin with extra acorn pieces. Once they were both reasonably rested, Naruto pedaled his hardest uphill. It was only marginally slower than his frantic ride downhill. Once he was at the top, he took another break for Trapper's sake. One more ride downhill, then we'll go to Fuchsia, said Naruto eagerly. He was officially loving his new bike. 6. Brah, Virginia, panted Trapper. How about you take the rest of the day off? Your muscles are just now getting used to flight, and we can practice with it later. Vibrava, said Trapper in relief. Naruto put him back in the seal ball for the night, making a note to put some extra acorns in his bowl later. Naruto looked at the downward slope with a massive fox-like grin. He tensed his legs, before giving a powerful, chakra-enhanced push off the fence. He cheered as he zoomed past the already shell-shocked bikers on the path. Naruto quickly realized he had forgotten one teeny-tiny little issue about going downhill so fast on a bike. The wonderful magic of physics. He hit a rock that sloped at just the right angle to send him flying into the air like a rocket. Splash. The plume of water from his landing was actually quite impressive for a 10-year-old's body, and fortunately he managed to save his bike, mostly. "Welcome to." "My goodness, what happened to you?" said Nurse Joy, noting the mangled tires and soaking wet Naruto. "I hate physics," said Naruto before he passed out. It took him 4 hours before he woke up from his nap, by which time Kyuubi took great pleasure in mocking him for flying through the air because he had foolishly gone so fast. He even went so far as to replay the memory of his brief flight and laugh at Naruto, mockingly at that. Needless to say, Naruto wasn't in such a good mood once he woke up. The first thing he did was mix extra acorns in Trapper's food bowl while the rest of his Pokemon ate. Then he sealed his bike with a shadow clone, sent it back to Celadon and decided to wait a few days so he could have his bike back. Naturally, the bike shop owner was beyond shocked that Naruto managed to mangle his new bike just because he forgot something like simple physics. Naruto had to show the man the exact point he flew off the path just for the owner to believe him. In the meantime, he decided to visit the Safari Zone, which would be a report in itself, just to explore the place. "So no Pokemon, but you can use rocks and mud to attack them or get their attention," clarified Naruto. The guide nodded. "You have an hour with which to catch Pokemon. Once that hour is up, if you haven't made it back to the gate, someone will be sent for you in case you've gotten stuck. A buzzer will sound once the hour is up, so you'll know that it's time to stop. Now we'll be supplying you with special Safari Ball so you can commemorate your capture and time here. You get a set limit of 30, if you use them up, then that's your problem. If you try to capture Pokemon without the ones we hand out, you will be banned. Any questions? This no Pokemon rule, can I still have one out but not use it to attack or attract Pokemon in any way?" "That might be allowed, but we wouldn't recommend it," replied his guide. "Guess I'll leave them here then. Any place I can put my seal balls so I won't lose them. We have a storage room where we put them in case trainers can't handle the no using your own Pokemon rule," said the guide. Naruto let Shifter out to watch them, since he hated his seal ball with a passion. Naruto couldn't help but feel a vague sense of déjà vu when he entered the Safari Zone. It didn't even take that long for him to figure out why. Apparently the claims that the second half of the ranking exam were based on this place weren't exactly inaccurate. About the only real difference he noted was that he wasn't fighting older trainers, the time limit was much shorter, plus he wouldn't be adding to his collection of badges. Tsunade had gotten him a binder with the Uzumaki swirl to keep most of them in. So far he had about 20, each the size of a small peach, or about the size of an American 50-cent piece, but I felt the peach would be an easier to understand measurement, and in a plastic covering to ensure they didn't fall out. They could be removed for cleaning and a good shine, but Naruto only did that once every 3 months. Thanks to the fact that he was also collecting gym badges, he had set aside pages of 8 for each region. Since the requirement for most leagues was at least 8 badges, this way he could keep track of what he needed. Naruto grinned when he saw the Nido Queen. Adding one of those to his team would give Obito a massive headache, plus finding one this size in the wild was nearly impossible. A quick flick of the wrist and it took a fair bit of damage. Because of his strength training, being hit by a simple rock would be like being hit by a rock Pokemon's attack. The same went for Mud. Naruto snickered at the rather irate look the Nido Queen had. Boy was she ticked when he captured her before she could have her revenge. His next victim was a Dratini. Why it was there he had no idea. He planned to give it to Anko as a present. Mostly because she had expressed concern that her Dragonair was getting tired of having eggs, and that it might be time to retire her from the breeding program. Finally he ended it all off by capturing a Victory Bell that he planned to trade with Ino's father Inoichi for some hard-to-find plants. Mostly because he had heard from Ino her father had been looking for one, since for some reason he couldn't find a Bellsprout or Weepin' Bell. Normally his luck would take care of it, but these plants were in areas he hadn't been to yet, like the land of earth and lightning. He was about to head towards the exit. He had 5 minutes left, when he noticed a fire type stuck in one of the bugs. It would die if he left it there, so he tossed one of his safari balls and caught it. It had already been weakened by the bug water. Beep. Hunter number 1010, your time is now up. Please make your way to the exit, or press the red button on the intercom if you are stuck. Any Pokemon caught after this message will be considered illegal and promptly confiscated. And don't try anything, because we have been keeping track of what you caught for insurance purposes. Thank you. Naruto shrugged and walked to the exit. He would look at what he had later, for now he needed to get some sleep. The fox's revenge for forgetting what physics were meant. He was still sore from his unexpected flight into the ocean. Officer Jenny had to watch the replay on the cameras outside the way station, which happened to be barely 15 feet from where he crashed, 3 times before she could believe it. And to top it all off, it was on the news the next morning. Obito would later get a copy of the incident just for a quick laugh. Needless to say, Naruto's friends never let him forget that incident. Naruto was about to go to the Fuchsia Gym, except he wanted to find out what the fire type he rescued was. Having Digit swap out Ayam for the last Pokemon he caught, he found himself with a safari ball in his hands. Tossing it into the air, he stared at the Pokemon waiting. It was a Ponyta. What in the name of the leaf were you doing in that bog? Asked Naruto, incredulous. Shifter was in a Speon form, so he translated from his spot in Naruto's lap. I was being chased by some horrible humans. I didn't realize I was near the bug until I got stuck. Naruto gave the Ponyta a checkup, and aside from some minor poisoning from the water, it had a clean bill of health. Naruto administered the antidote to the horse, who was nuzzling him. So do you want to stay with me? Asked Naruto. The horse nodded. From now on, your name is Blitz. Pony. Now, if I remember right, there is a beach not far from the city. Who's up for a day off before we challenge the gym? Said Naruto. V, said Shifter enthusiastically. Naruto was having a blast surfing with Shifter on his head. A little chakra, and he never had to worry about falling off. On the shore was his current team. Blitz, Digit, Clear, Agolbat, Kurama, and Tsuki-chan. Tsuki-chan was very close to evolving to Dragonair, and Naruto had recently acquired an upgrade from Tsunade. It was one of the perks to having supplied a new machine that cut recovery times in half for Shinobi. According to his last call home, Tsunade was about to get the council to agree to let civilians have Pokemon too. It would be a while before they were allowed in the ranking exams, but it was still a very big step. They were all relaxing on the beach before Naruto challenged the gym. He knew he was being watched by the wannabe ninjas from shore. He didn't particularly care, to be honest. All he would have to do to be rid of them was to spam them with clones. Instead, he enjoyed his day off. Every good shinobi had to take a mandatory 5 days off each month, or they risked burning out. Naruto had even done what was considered impossible by convincing Lee to take a day off while during a mission. This was considered normally impossible because both Guy and Lee were training junkies and rarely stopped moving. Fortunately, he found the perfect way to get them to calm down long enough to stop training. He made up a special training schedule just for them, one that could only be done once a week. In short, they had to find a hobby that didn't involve physical exercise or using their muscles in any way and had to do it for an entire day. Surprisingly enough, Lee chose cloud watching, Shikamaru still hadn't stopped cussing out Naruto for ruining his cloud time, and Guy chose reading. Rumor had it Kakashi was still trying to get Guy addicted to Ika Ika. Naruto splashed Shifter, who attacked using his tail. Kurama and Blitz chose to make sand castles, and if they were particularly good they turned the sand into glass. This later became a local attraction before someone was finally able to move it into the Safari Zone's gift shop. Digit buried himself in the sand and kept popping out at random to scare their watchers. Naruto couldn't stop laughing at the looks on their faces. Uzumaki Naruto of Konoha has come to challenge the Fuchsia Gym. Unfortunately, our leader, Koga, is not in today, said the referee, a very pretty woman wearing a simple kimono. Figures he wouldn't be in. But I bet he would have come in a heartbeat if he knew I was here, snorted Naruto. Why? Because I called him a ninja, throwback to his face, and think he's a complete joke, said Naruto flatly. He had seen Koga's eye twitch when he heard how Hinata and Naruto really thought of his outfit. Everyone who learns here wears something similar to that, said the woman. Yes, but true ninja don't need to advertise wearing such cliché clothing. True, some of the old ways are very useful, but the cloths are tacky at best. You sound like you are a ninja, she said. I am Journeyman Shinobi Uzumaki Naruto, at your service. You know, for a town that has a ninja school, it's surprisingly difficult to find a supply store with shuriken and kunao. She smiled a secretive smile. In order to get those, you'll need to pass a test. Do tell, said Naruto, sharing a similar smile. There is a store inside the mansion, but the only ones allowed to buy anything are those who can find it. Find the store, and you may resupply, she said with a smile. Why can't my village be as sensible about the weapons? Your village. I hail from the village hidden in the leaves, led by the fire shadow Tsunade Senju. There, we live, train, and die as shinobi. The only issue is that our technology is very out of date. We don't even have cars or motorcycles. I'll give you a hint. The direction of the store is that way, said the woman, pointing with a smile. Naruto gave her a salute, and started walking. He was running very low on kunao and shuriken. Not to mention sealing supplies. Damn it, this is the 5th pit trap I've run into, said Naruto. So far he had walked past 3 floors that would tip people off a cliff, there were nets to catch them and a door that would lead back to safety, 5 pit traps that dropped people into a deep pool, they were checked regularly to rescue the people who fell in, 2 traps that had him almost walk into walls, and 3 oiled floors that would make most slip and fall into another trap. To be honest, it was rather tedious. Chances were that these were tests for the students. That would explain the safety measures. Still, he was making good progress. After every 3rd trap he set off, someone poked their heads out and he would get directions to the store. He had the feeling that he was impressing these would-be shinobi with the fact he wasn't even fazed by their childish traps. Compared to Konoha, they were easy to get past. Then again, these people had yet to learn how to use their chakra. Most of the traps he bypassed by walking along the ceiling. Finally he reached his destination. I've been expecting you. You've made better time than most of our own journeymen, said the woman. So do you part-time at this or? My name is Ayam. I am the secondary instructor in our ninja training school, and the one in charge when Koga is absent. I also keep track of supplies, hence why I'm running the store, she said with a grin. Right. Lead on to your selection, said Naruto with a massive fox grin. He left the gym with 2 full pouches of kunao, 3 for shuriken, and a new toy to play with. This may be the past, but they still did good work when it came to shinobi weaponry. Probably why the shinobi sect not only survived the cataclysm, but thrived into a booming business. He had even left a warning to Ayam to toughen the traps, though he never said why. Can't believe I missed a gym, said Naruto sourly. According to some of the other trainers, he had missed the gym with the electric trainer Lieutenant Surge. How, he had no idea, but it irked him. Which was why he doubled back, partially to exercise Blitz but mostly so he wouldn't feel as if he left Kanto unfinished. He could always deal with Koga, Blaine, Sabrina, and the mystery 8th gym leader after he took down Surge. Blitz seemed to enjoy the exercise, as Naruto was a kind trainer. And he always gave him treats when he rode. Blitz barely tapped the stones that covered the river, his hooves tap dancing on each. Naruto was lucky that most Ponyta owners tended to ride them, as it had been easy to find a saddle and reins. Though getting them in orange proved to be a challenge. It took him a few days, since he was training Blitz rather than taking the express route, I/E him running like mad. But eventually he made it to the gym. Come on in, brat. You'll be my 3rd victim of the day, sneered Surge. He had heard about a blonde-haired brat with a weird EV that Giovanni wanted captured to experiment on. Gee, aren't you full of yourself, said Naruto sarcastically. How the hell did he miss this guy? He was just begging to get an ass-kicking, without Pokemon. Know this, brat. If you lose, I'm taking your EV. Just out of curiosity, what level are your Pokemon at? Said Naruto. It wasn't the first time some braggart had claimed they would take Shifter, and it wouldn't be the last. Level 45, why? Just curious. Shifter, come on out. V. Go, Magneton. Naruto grinned evilly. His closed eyes made him look like a fox. When he opened a single one, Surge felt a shiver of fear go down his spine. This kid, he wasn't like other trainers. He wasn't going to show any mercy. Shifter, rock throw, said Naruto flatly. The EV twirled and became his ground form, which had an immunity to electric attacks. He stomped his foot and broke the ground into rocks. He used his tail to slam the rocks into the floating trio of magnets. Magneton, it cried in pain. A single hit and it fell to the ground, out cold. What the? You may be a good gym leader, but your training is nothing compared to what I put mine through each day. Che. Don't get cocky, brat. Go Reishu. A Reishu? Oh, this will be cakewalk, cackled Naruto. He could tell that Surge was one of those idiots who evolved their Pokemon as soon as they got them. Don't underestimate me, snarled Surge. Shifter, Earthquake, said Naruto with conviction. Earthquake was a move that wasn't allowed near inhabited lands, for good reason. It was banned outright in Konoha unless there was an invasion or something. The ground rumbled and the Reishu had to go onto all fours just to stay upright. Naruto didn't even have trouble staying up, unlike Surge. Finally Reishu fainted from a rock hitting it in the head, and the shaking stopped. Got any more? Asked Naruto lazily. Really, Surge's Pokemon were all brawn, no technique. That was just begging to get bit in his opinion. Surge growled. Go Electabuzz, he snarled. Naruto grinned. I can trump that. Shifter, come back here buddy. Time to give Bones a chance to play. Marowak. Time to play Bones, grinned Naruto. Maro. Electabuzz, Thunder Punch. Bones, use Bone Meringue. The bone in Bones' hand slammed into Electabuzz and caused it to falter. Use Low Kick. Bones hit Electabuzz hard enough to make it go down. Now use Iron Tail. Bones hit Electabuzz hard enough to make it stay down. Winner is Uzumaki Naruto of Konoha and Bones. Maro, cried Bones. I don't believe this, said Surge. You're an idiot who evolves his team the second you get them. You don't give them time to grow into their power. I, on the other hand, prefer to let them grow before I let the evolve. You were doomed the second I came here, said Naruto flatly. Surge was so mad that he lost so easily to a brat that he went to punch the kid. Naruto didn't even look at him as he caught the fist with a single hand. Oh, and I don't limit myself to just training Pokemon. Unlike Koga, I take my training seriously without using my team's powers as a crutch, said Naruto opening both his eyes. Surge took one look into Naruto's eyes and nearly freaked out. This kid wasn't playing around. Che. You're a good kid. Better than Koga at any rate. You've earned this badge more than those other pansies, said Surge. Now that he had calmed down, he could admire the kid's obvious strength. He was way better than Koga. Surge handed over the Thunder badge with no more fuss after that. This kid had more than earned it. What Naruto didn't know was that he had impressed Surge so much that he had gotten the gym leader's personal badge. Naruto was eating at an ice cream shop with his Pokemon all enjoying their own bowls, when he noticed a light from his bag. He pulled out the egg he had saved to find it hatching. It split into twin lights, both of them with primarily yellow bodies. However, they had different secondary colors. One had a plus-like tail, the other had a minus tail. They were red and blue respectively. Plus, said the red one with the plus sign tail. My none, said the blue with the minus tail. How cute. Twin Pokemon, said the waitress gushing. It wasn't often to see an egg hatch into twin Pokemon. What to call you two? I know. Mini and Plu, said Naruto. It wasn't his best, and he knew it, but it was the first thing that came to mind. Plus, said Plu. My none, said Mini. Apparently they liked their new names, spur of the moment as they were. The two immediately jumped onto his shoulder and started sparking a bit. Naruto absolutely adored them, as he did all his baby Pokemon. Though he would have to send one of his back. At the moment he had Shifter, Digit, Blitz, Penny, and Bones. With these two, he now had too many on his team. To be fair, he wasn't expecting the egg to become twin Pokemon. Hey Hinata, said Naruto, giving her a quick peck on the cheek. Hinata giggled. So what did you need help with, Naruto? An egg I rescued in the wild hatched into twin Pokemon, and I need to send one back. I also have another 2 books for the publisher, because I have a feeling they've been getting anxious for the next book, said Naruto. One was another history textbook, the other was an adventure one. It irked Jiraiya something fierce that he made more money than the perv, and he wasn't selling smut. Maybe I can take one with me, said Hinata. Alright, here's Mini and Plu. Mini and Plu, said Hinata with a raised eyebrow. It was spur of the moment, not my best work. She giggled. Mini seemed to become fascinated with Hinata's hair, as she kept playing with it. So Mini, would you like to stick with Hinata? Asked Naruto. My none, said Mini sparking in agreement. Congrats Hinata, You now have a my none, said Naruto. So which one do you want me to take back? Come on out guys, said Naruto, tossing his seal balls into the air. EV. Porygon. Primplup. Ponyta. Marowak. Plusle. Alright guys, Hinata's here to take one of you back to the house. Which one of you wants to take a break from traveling? Asked Naruto. He was surprised when Blitz walked forward. It was eager to see its new home, and it wanted a break from the saddle. Alright Blitz, don't give Obito any trouble when you get home, said Naruto. He handed Hinata the safari ball that he had used to capture Blitz. They had a date, before Hinata went home. She had Shikamaru help her check the grammar and spelling, before she sent off the manuscripts to the publisher with Delia. The title of the two books: History, Ninja Throwbacks and the Evolution of Shinobi Weapons. Adventure, EV in the Mysterious Zone. Needless to say, if Koga ever got his hands on the first book he would have been ticked. Naruto's second encounter with Koga didn't end as quickly as the first had. Mostly because Koga had heard from Ayam what Naruto said about him, and he was out for blood. Go Arbok, snarled Koga. Shifter, magical leaf, said Naruto. Rainbow-colored leaves blocked the fangs of Koga's Arbok. You are going to pay for defiling my school, he snarled. What the hell are you talking about? All I did was give them tips to make their aim better. And those traps of yours suck by the way. Naruto shot back. Koga snarled. Arbok acid. Shifter, use sand attack. Setian. Arbok was blasted by the sand Shifter kicked into its eyes. Arbok, bite, growled Koga. Shifter, show this wannabe what a real bite attack can do, said Naruto evilly. Time to show who the real shinobi was. Adamantium. Shifter bit Arbok so hard that he cut off its tail. Arbok howled in pain. Shifter, Iron Tail. Shifter slammed his tail into Arbok, causing it enough pain that it passed out. Koga growled and retrieved Arbok. Its lost tail would grow back. Go Weezing. Shifter, Iron Tail again. The spiked tail hit Weezing hard enough that it almost went flying. Wheeze, eng. Gasped the poison Pokemon. Insolent brat. I bet you believe you can take me down like you did Surge, snarled Koga. You're right, this is too easy. Shifter, return. Go Tsuki-chan, said Naruto. His recently evolved Dragonair came out of the seal ball with a flurry of sparkles. What is that? Said Koga in disgust. Have you seriously never seen a shiny Pokemon before? Said Naruto in disbelief. Those are myths. Tsuki-chan is a shiny Pokemon, and you can't deny that she is different than normal Dragonair. Anyway, Tsuki-chan, use extreme speed, said Naruto. Tsuki-chan hit Weezing hard enough to knock it out. I train my Pokemon seriously. Whereas you and your fellow gym leaders have rested on your laurels since you have obtained the peak of what you wanted, said Naruto. From what he could tell, the gym leaders didn't really train seriously anymore since they took over their gyms. Sure, they took any challengers, but that was more like going through the motions. And here was a prime example. Had Koga taken his training seriously, as trainers should, then he wouldn't be having so much trouble taking out even one of Naruto's Pokemon. And yet he had trouble with the second weakest of his team, Tsuki-chan. Go Mook. Tsuki-chan return. Go Digit. Porygon 2. The last time Hinata visited him, which was a week ago, he had traded her Digit for her Zero, both with the upgrade item. The two Porygon evolved into Porygon 2. Digit, use Magic Coat. Magic Coat was a useful ability which reflected certain attacks, like poison for instance. Mook, use Sludge Bomb. Mook, yelled Mook, tossing a massive ball of poisonous goop at Digit. It slid off the Magic Coat. Digit, try attack, said Naruto evilly. The tricolored attack hit Mook and knocked it back. Mook, slam. Digit, substitute. Mook, use Gunk Shot. Digit, use Iron Tail. While its tail was small, it did quite a bit of damage to Mook. Use Signal Beam, shouted Naruto, beating Koga to the punch. The multicolored beam hit Mook hard enough to knock him out. You brat. Looks like I win Koga, smirked Naruto. Koga snarled, and threw shuriken at him. Naruto was expecting something like this, because he made a shadow clone and they both tackled Koga. I had a feeling you would try something like this, you hack. Your ninja skills are worse than your battling skills, smirked Naruto. What are you? Your future, said Naruto flatly. He hit Koga with a single senbon in a spot that would knock him out for hours. It was the same spot Haku had hit Zabuza in that disastrous wave mission so long ago. Koga was out like a light for several hours, and the spot Naruto hit him ensured no one would mistake him as dead. He also filched nearly everything on Koga, including his special gym leader's badge as a trophy, leaving only his clothes since he didn't want to look like a throwback. Koga really hated Naruto when he found that out. Naruto felt he deserved a vacation, so he decided to hit Cinnabar Island. He had in his bag the fossil Wailord had given him for healing it. He had heard rumors that Cinnabar had a facility that could revive fossils into Pokemon, and he wanted to revive his. To prepare for that, he had sent Plo back home to bother Obito. Naruto boarded the luxury liner, having stopped in Celadon to rob the adult casinos blind again for some spending cash. Chances were he would be here for a long while, so he would need the extra money to pay for any new healing machines they made, or for any he stole. Chances were that the fossil machine would be the first of his thefts. He did run into Red on the ship, who had acquired an EV somewhere. So it was only natural that he would challenge Naruto to see whose EV was better. There was no contest, even if for some reason Red's EV could do what Shifter couldn't, I/E switch between the primary 3 and back to EV. Naruto had a sneaking suspicion Red's EV was Shifter's ancestor. It would explain a lot about why Shifter was even alive after such experimentation. The second he stepped foot on Cinnabar, he decided to give Jiraiya a treat. Pictures. Pictures which he would have to send with Obito lest Hinata find out what he was doing. And he would deliver it in a way that Jiraiya couldn't complain if he destroyed. It took him 2 days before he finally went searching for the lab that revived fossil Pokemon, and another 3 before he found the Cinnabar gym and beat Blaine. He actually beat Red to the gym badge by a full 3 days. And then Team Rocket showed up, something about how Blaine had stolen something from them. Naruto took the opportunity to steal the machine that revived fossils, along with copies of the blueprints. Red had already revived an old amber he had found by accident. Naruto booked to avoid being caught by Team Rocket, and proceeded to walk on water until he was far enough to release his new Lapras that he had caught before going to Cinnabar. His Omenet was sent home already. "Come on UMI, let's head back to the mainland," said Naruto, getting onto Lapra's shell. This Lapras had been separated from its group, and Naruto had promised to look for it every time they were on the open ocean. It wasn't until they were back on the mainland that they heard Team Rocket had tried to kidnap Blaine, but was fought off by Red. Naruto's estimation of his skills increased when he heard exactly how he had accomplished that. "Ugh, I don't see what the appeal is with alcohol," said Naruto irritated. He had drunk more than Tsunade, and had a mild hangover. All without once dropping his henge. He had to have one on, because in the past he wasn't old enough to legally drink. Back in Konoha, once you hit Chunin you were an adult, whether you were of legal civilian age or not. So when he saw a bar, he decided to give it a shot. This was because the bar in question had ramen on the menu, and was the only one in the village that sold it for miles. Naruto would not be deprived of his beloved ramen for something as trivial as being too young to eat inside. Suddenly Digit began to vibrate. It was a rather odd trick he had picked up to alert Naruto to a new message. He could only guess that Digit had picked it up from Hinata's Zero, though why hers would vibrate he had no idea. Naruto went to the nearest phone and put Digit on top with the necklace around it. Connecting. There on the screen was Jiraiya. "I am so proud of you. I had lost hope for you when you accepted Tsunade's offer of apprenticeship, and then you go and do this. Way to go Gaki," said Jiraiya with tears in his eyes. "Kami, turn down the volume," winced Naruto. Kuwabai was dealing with the hangover, getting it to disappear surprisingly fast. "How much did you have to drink last night?" asked Jiraiya smirking. "Enough to actually have a hangover. It was the only place that served ramen for 15 miles and by the time I got to the nearest city it would have been too late," complained Naruto. Jiraiya seemed to tear up. "Brat's growing up. Soon you'll be picking off the ladies left and right," said Jiraiya proudly. "I already do that here. Girls keep asking if they joined me in traveling, but they tend to break off when I mention my girlfriend Hinata." "What's this about girls trying to come onto you?" asked Hinata. Jiraiya had used Obito's Porygon to contact the kid. "Girls keep asking if it was alright to join me on my journey, but the second they find out about you they change their minds," said Naruto. No way in hell was he going to piss off Hinata, she might use Jyoken to keep him in line. "Naruto, "I don't mind you journeying with other girls as long as you stay faithful," said Hinata. Her mind immediately went to some of her more explicit dreams she had involving some of their fellow kunoichi and Naruto as the centerpiece. "You're not mad. Irritated you didn't think to bring this issue up sooner, but mad no. I'll explain why next time I come over," said Hinata. Jiraiya suddenly had a bigger grin than before, having already put two and two together. His godson was so lucky to have such a kinky girlfriend. Hinata came on her next scheduled visit with a rather odd look on her face. "Now what's this about you having to fight off other girls?" Naruto explained rather quickly, as he didn't want his girlfriend to kick his ass for something he had no part in. "Naruto, next time one asks, ask her if she's interested in sharing you with your girlfriend. I don't mind having others share you, but I don't want someone who just wants to monopolize you. I can go as high as 5 others, unless I have reason to add more," explained Hinata patiently. "Seriously, you're not mad at me? I've always wanted you, and I knew that might mean having to share you. So I got used to the idea. Besides, I've been having tea with Anko for months now and she's given me some interesting material for me to consider when I mentioned it. Wouldn't your dad raise a fuss? I mean the Hyuga don't exactly like her from what I heard," said Naruto. "They shut up rather quickly when I gave them all a bad case of diarrhea for a week when they started in on it. All I had to do was casually mention that I alone knew the antidote recipe and they shut up about my affairs. It also worked when one of branch members finally told them I was dating you," said Hinata flatly. Working with Anko had done wonders for her self-confidence. She was no longer the shy wallflower, but a confident kunoichi who wouldn't let anyone stand in her way. Naruto felt a sense of relief, and more than a bit confusion. Just because he had a girlfriend didn't mean puberty had fully set in on him yet. It still hadn't kicked in when he was in his own time. A few years after the war, Naruto would be thanking Kami his younger self had this talk with Hinata as he snuggled up to his 10-girl harem. Naruto was walking through Cerulean when he spotted a familiar face. "Hey Misty," said Naruto. Misty grinned and waved to Naruto. "So how many badges do you have, Naruto?" "Only missing Sabrina and the mystery 8th leader," said Naruto. "So what's this I hear about you beating girls off who want to journey with you?" asked Misty with a grin. She liked Naruto, he was so fun to tease. "Several girls want to join me in my journey, and I kept declining cause I didn't want my girlfriend angry at me. She can beat me up real easily. When I told her what had been going on, she said that she was fine with it so long as I was faithful to her and that she was open to sharing," said Naruto. "Lucky. Yeah, but I don't want to have a whole bunch of girls angry with me later, so I've been selective about who I allow to join me." "And who would you allow to join you?" "Orphans or other mistreated girls mostly. I know what it's like to have no one in your life until you get your first Pokemon. Pranksters, those with an actual sense of humor and like kids. I could care less about looks so long as we can get along," said Naruto. Misty weighed her options. She wasn't mistreated or an orphan, but she was overlooked for her older and in her mind prettier sisters. The only reason she had stayed in Cerulean was because her older sisters hated battling and she didn't want their gym to become a total joke among the others. If she could find a replacement, she would have left a while ago. "What about older girls?" she asked suddenly, startled that she dare voice her question aloud. "I don't see age or beauty. If an older wanted to travel with me, that is entirely up to them," said Naruto offhandedly, not making the connection. Misty let a spark of hope appear in her chest. She rather liked Naruto, as while he was a bit dense it was clear he was a better catch than Red, who couldn't seem to see her crush even though it was staring him in the face. Now all she had to do was find a good replacement as gym leader who could live with her sisters, and she would be set. Naruto gives Kurama a long brushing and enough attention to get the Nine Tails to forgive him for sending him home for several months. In the 7 months he had been wandering around Kanto, trouncing any who challenged him, he had Kurama with him for 3 before he sent him home. That was how long it took for him to realize that his Ninetales special ability wouldn't be needed, at least not right away. The Kyuubi's foul chakra only got exercise when he did jutsu practice every 3 days. He had a simple system in place. 3 days for jutsu practice, 1 for keeping his breeder's skill up to date, he just had to flash his badge to get the books. He was recently upgraded to a level 6 after he took a test in the same school that most Nurse Joys attended, 2 for Pokemon training and 1 day to relax. The only time he deviated was when he was in places like Cinnabar, where training would look out of place. Today he had recalled Kurama from the house so that he could do battle with Sabrina. The Pokemon Championship was in 2 months and he needed to be ready to compete, which meant he couldn't put off challenging the psychic any longer. He had a good reason for not doing this much sooner. The last thing he needed was for her to learn of the Kyuubi with her powers. The last thing he wanted was for this girl to accidentally set the fox loose in a world that had no defense against it, even if he was on speaking terms. The ref announced Naruto's presence before watching the match. Naruto used the dark to his advantage, as he had Shifter remain in Umbreon form. Shifter, Dark Tackle. Umbreon. A deep black blur slammed into the Kadabra, causing it to cry out in pain and shock. Shadow Ball. An orb of pure darkness hit the psychic type, and knocked out Kadabra. Naruto knew his type weaknesses by heart, as Hana had drilled them into the boy once she realized how useful it would be with Shifter's switching ability. Sabrina scowled at him for taking out her Kadabra so quickly, and threw out her Alakazam. She could hear the boy's thoughts loud as day, and while he was nervous around her for her mind-reading ability, he was also an arrogant little brat who needed to be taught a lesson he wouldn't forget. She wasn't about to let the runt who humiliated Koga, and by extension the Triad, just waltz into her gym without teaching him a painful lesson. The brat seemed to sense her implied challenge. This wasn't a gym battle, this was an all-out brawl between trainers, one where he couldn't use his fists, only his Pokemon. Seeing him switch out for his recently evolved Flygon, she got the message loud and clear. Challenge accepted. Kurama, Kyuubi, was bored out of his mind. Naruto had all but thrown the fox out of his seal to ensure that the psychic witch didn't learn of his presence. Considering the rumors he heard of the girl, it was actually a very smart move on the brat's part. While he wanted his freedom, the last thing he needed was Arceus and the other legendaries throwing a hissy fit about his presence in a time he didn't exist, and without any shinobi with even the first idea of what a sealing jutsu was to keep him from destroying everything. Plus it was more time away from the red-haired nutjob and her annoying as hell blonde husband who had stuck him in the brat to begin with. At least he took requests when it came to music. Kurama was about halfway to the first ice cream shop he could find, having a serious craving for chocolate at the moment, when he was grabbed by an idiot wearing a black uniform with a bright red letter R on the front. From what he remembered of the legendary's complaints, this fool belonged to the same organization that had caused the cataclysm. His second question of why the officers in charge of the area, namely a family full of near-identical twins all named Jenny for some reason, hadn't stopped him from abducting a child in plain view was answered rather quickly. The idiots had taken over the town and all the real citizens were currently being held captive in the biggest company in the area. A decent strategy, for a bunch of weak civilians. Kurama snorted though, as they only left a single guard with 2 level 30 Pokemon, common ones at that. From the scent in the Pokeballs, one was a Golbat, and a poorly trained one from the scent of it. The other was a simple Sandslash, and from the amount of mud he could smell, one that hadn't seen any real action in over a week. That didn't speak of just weak Pokemon, it said volumes on how arrogant and lazy these idiots were. Even Shikamaru, one of the laziest people Naruto knew, trained with his Pokemon at least 3 times a week minimum. Hell, Choji had his Pokemon at least evolved before a month was out. So he pleaded an errand of nature, gaining him 1 guard from the idiots, and immediately informed Naruto of the situation. And then he started planning a mode of attack from within. Once Officer Jenny realized that despite being a doctor, he knew how to command troops, the rest fell in line easily. Naruto almost cursed when the memories of the quick clone Kyuubi had made and popped within a minute came to him. So that was why there were so many guards around the entrance. Coming from a military village, he hadn't looked twice at it at first. Now it made more sense, and he realized with annoyance he had grown somewhat complacent without having to worry about enemy shinobi to deal with. Time to up the training schedule again. But first he had something to deal with. Naruto glared at Sabrina. There wasn't a chance in hell that a gym leader wouldn't notice people being kidnapped off the streets, especially when one of them was a Jenny and another was the local Joy. Naruto hadn't gone into the Pokemon Center before he challenged the gym, as he had wanted to get this over with quickly and his team was perfectly fine anyway. So if Sabrina hadn't dealt with this issue already or alerted the other gym leaders, that had to mean she was in on it at least. And there was no way he was going to let that continue on. Sabrina's smirk turned nasty, as she read from the brat's mind that he knew she was behind the mass disappearances of the town. Time to turn this up a notch. Alakazam, nightmare, she called out nastily. She had managed to get the brat's Snorlax to fall asleep. It hadn't been hard, as they were predisposed to do so anyway. To her surprise, the Snorlax didn't even flinch as its nice dreams were taken away. Her Alakazam had been trained since it was an Abra to deal psychological damage when using Nightmare on Pokemon, and some trainers had to quit using their Pokemon afterwards. Then the Snorlax woke up, took one look at the Alakazam, and growled. It made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. Yeah, not a smart move trying to deal psychological damage to a 1,000-pound Pokemon trained by an insane bitch who loves poisons and torture. You didn't just wake Ayam up, you made her mad. It was nice knowing you, not, said Naruto sarcastically. He didn't know what Anko did to his Munchlax during training, and he didn't want to know. All he knew was that anyone stupid enough to try genjutsu around Ayam was in for a very painful and possibly deadly ass-kicking. And considering the average Snorlax weighed 1,014 pounds of pure muscle at all times, well, pissing one off was the equivalent of calling an Akimichi fat to their faces and expecting them to not retaliate. There was a reason why the rather large clan breed Munchlax eggs and raised the strongest Snorlax in the elemental countries. Then again, Ayam had gone from a mild-tempered Munchlax to a downright bitchy one whenever genjutsu came anywhere near her or Naruto. From what Hinata could tell him, that was mostly the fault of Kurane, who had apparently gotten roped into the Pokemon's training by Anko at some point. Seeing the subsequent beatdown of her Pokemon by a pissed-off Snorlax and downright bored trainer, Sabrina realized she was playing with fire. The only question was how potent was it, and how long would it burn if left unchecked. And with that thought firmly in mind, she treated this less as a gym battle and more like a fight for her life. The brat's answering grin sent shivers down her spine. This would not end well for her. Kurama had taken a nap, having slipped back into the kid to watch the fight. He had to admit, the look on the fool's face when she realized how outclassed she was once Ayam became serious was hilarious. Gym leaders had the bad habit of growing complacent after a few years. They rarely trained their Pokemon outside the battles. So when faced by an opponent who trained for life and death battles, not for simple gym badges, they were out of the league so much that their expressions were often hilarious to look at. Still, it did annoy him at how this, Team Rocket, seemed to find the most depraved morons he had ever had the displeasure of coming across. Already he had broken 15 wandering hands, 5 arms, and 2 sets of legs for going anywhere near the females, who shot him a look of thanks. Apparently whoever did the hiring tended to hit the slums, where rape was common. Really, they should be grateful he hadn't made them eunuchs with how much their hands tended to wander. He yawned as Naruto switched the tiring Ayam with Shifter, who took vindictive pleasure in beating the crap out of Sabrina's Hypno. 1 minute the Pokemon was out, fresh and ready for battle, the next it was down in a rather painful manner and Sabrina was seething. Naruto had won, but he wasn't done just yet. When the ref didn't call his victory, he noticed with anger that the man had a bright red R under his clothes, meaning he was with the jerks holding the town captive. Which meant he didn't feel guilty about what happened next. Shifter, time to cut loose, said Naruto with a growl. Sabrina realized the gig was up, and all around him several of her minions released their Pokemon. It wasn't enough. Shifter, Kurama, Gabby, Naruto's Gibble egg hatched, and a refreshed Ayam tore through their defenses like wet paper. Team Rocket had the bad habit of hiring idiots who rarely trained their Pokemon, and who had the unfortunate luck of trying to attack a well-trained shinobi team who went for lethal attacks more often than not. In retrospect, the trio that kept harassing him while he was trying to sleep were actually geniuses compared to these idiots. Sure, they were annoying, but they at least showed some care to their team, and it was clear that their Meowth, which could talk for some reason, was at least level 40 even if he didn't show it because their fighting ability sucked. As a shinobi, Naruto looked underneath the underneath. Jesse, James, and Meowth weren't evil, they just didn't have any decent choices since they joined up. They were so desperate to please their boss that it was just sad. Naruto stood aside impassively, aside from barking attacks that were followed without question. The only one left was Sabrina, and she was torn between pissed and shell-shocked at the moment. Angry that this child, who looked barely older than 11, could defeat her trained group, and shell-shocked by the boy's viciousness when dealing with an enemy much older and supposedly wiser than him. I do believe it time to call the cavalry, don't you, Shifter? Umbreon. What happened next shocked Sabrina to the core. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 50 copies of the brat, down to the outfits, looked at her impassively. Alright men, you know what to do. Time to retake the town. and in an unspoken order, loot the Sylph Company. Anything taken would be placed on the shoulders of Team Rocket, not him. What sort of ninja would he be to turn down a chance like this? Kurama led the people in a revolt against the surprised guards, giving Naruto the distraction he needed to loot the place. In addition, the Bratz clones combined with a single Pokemon lead the people out and dealt massive damage to the guards still in. Halfway up the building, Naruto ran into a girl who had a Jigglypuff beside her. "You with the idiots who held the citizen hostage?" he asked flatly. "Not a chance in hell." "You?" "Nope. Here to rob while rescuing the hostages and pin the blame on Team Rocket," said Naruto. She grinned. "Name's Green." "Naruto." "Shall we miss?" he said gallantly, holding the door open for her with a grin. "So nice to meet a kindred spirit in this situation." She giggled and the two went into the research division and raided the place. Red and Blue were dealing damage to what was left of Team Rocket outside. Naruto had taken out most of the heavy hitters, so they were cleaning up, though neither of them knew the blonde had helped them out until later. By the time reinforcements arrived for them, Naruto and Green had pretty much cleared out Sylph Co for goodies. Unseen by Naruto, Green had made off with the Master Ball, a device reportedly able to capture any Pokemon without fail. All Naruto knows is that he has a partner in crime who apparently has a fear of bird Pokemon. The officer Jenny who worked with Kyuubi Naruto immediately helps them out, completely unaware of the fact that the two just robbed the building, mostly because Naruto had the good sense to seal everything shortly before he left the place. The second he saw Sabrina, he used his pickpocketing skills to make off with the badge on her lapel, and if asked would claim it the spoils of war. Considering he had beaten her fairly before this mess, and the gym was set to record any official matches, one of her flunkies had inputted the information, and the cameras recorded the fight without her realizing it, so by rights he had legally earned the badge. After reviewing the tape, and knowing it would cause less of a headache to find another Saffron City badge for the kid, they let him keep it. Naruto was eating his ice cream with Kyuubi, who had all but demanded it as payment for helping the civvies out of that hostage situation. It had been 3 days since the fight, and because of the chaos that had come of learning the company had been raided, most of the trainers who had come there had to stick around for a few days until everything was sorted out. Fortunately for Green, Naruto had expected this to happen and had sealed her items in another scroll to be handed over well outside town. He was about finished when a teen approached him wearing the strangest outfit and carrying a cloth-covered baton. He had purple eyes, red hair that was mostly flat except for 3 spikes on the right side, and had a book showing out of his bag. "Hi," he said. "Hello," said Naruto. "Aren't you the same kid who rescued those hostages?" he asked. "I am," said Naruto. "Good, I'm glad I didn't get the wrong person. My name's Mamoru, Uzumaki Mamoru, and I'm one of guys whose butt you saved." Initially Naruto would have politely chatted with the man, but the second he said Uzumaki, Naruto sat up straight. What were the odds he would run into his own ancestor during this mess? Once the awkward silence was over, the two chatting amicably. Apparently Mamoru was an apprentice at seals, as the book he carried had some sloppy but still unmistakable seals inside that just barely worked. And with that to lead the way, Naruto suggested that they travel together for a while so he could show Mamoru how seals were supposed to work instead of making the first ones. Considering Naruto could help him with his stage acts, he was a magician-type trainer, and he had a feeling this was the same kid that the gym leader Koga had been cursing whenever the incident with the little girl was brought up. He agreed. About 15 miles away from Saffron, Green appeared flying on her Jigglypuff to get her share of the stolen goods. Naruto unsealed them, handed her a spare bag she could use to hold it, and they went separate ways. Mamoru gave him a raised eyebrow in response. "Who did you think robbed the place?" "Those half-wits at Team Rocket," said Naruto in response to the look. "I just didn't peg you for a thief," he replied. "Orphan, and few people liked me. I had to learn how to pickpocket early on, and I was sent from my village for technology that is currently beyond us. I can buy stuff easily enough after hitting a casino or two, but Sylph Co had some stuff I couldn't pass up without getting told off by my friends for leaving it when I could get off free," said Naruto flatly. "How could you possibly get enough cash at a casino to pay for expensive machines?" asked Mamoru in disbelief. "Easy. My luck during missions outside the village is inversely proportional to my luck at gambling. I'll show you in Viridian what I mean when I buy a simple scratch-off," said Naruto. Mamoru continued his disbelief at Naruto's so-called good luck with the 3 almost impossible to have occurred situation he had been dragged through courtesy of the blonde, at least until they finally hit the first town to even have scratch-off tickets. And then Naruto's words rang true as he somehow hit the jackpot prize, on all 5 tickets. That wasn't just lucky, that was unnaturally lucky. I don't believe it, said Mamoru for the 10th time that day. Believe it, said Naruto grinning. How the hell did you pull it off? Asked Mamoru. Like I said, my luck is inversely proportional to my bad luck during missions. Also, the chances of anyone traveling with me catching a Pokemon they've wanted for years shoots up. I know this one guy who caught a Lapras after being in my presence outside the village for a month. According to him, he never had the chance to catch one before, and they always ran away before he had the opportunity to. Wow. Yeah. So you want to work on your seals again? Asked Naruto. Mamoru nodded, as some of the things Naruto had shown him would be added to the family archives, and would later end up with the Uzumaki clan being renowned worldwide for being seal masters during a time when Pokemon were no longer available. Naruto suspected he was the reason why the Uzumaki clan had been picked to restart the reintegration of Pokemon in a world that had been forced to learn how to live without them. Uzumaki Naruto vs Giovanni of Viridian. Begin, said the ref, who had his Team Rocket uniform under the official referee 1. Giovanni was still ticked about the blonde dealing a major blow to his plans by his rescue of Saffron City and displacement of Sabrina, who had only just broken out of jail thanks to her powers. To be fair, the only one of the triad who didn't curse the name Uzumaki was Surge, though why Naruto had gone easier on him instead of Koga and Sabrina he hadn't the foggiest. So, Giovanni decided to take the brat down, hard. He sent the experiment Mutuo after the brat. Naruto took one look at the odd armor and quickly figured out this was a setup designed to take him and his team down. He hid a smirk, and figured if gym leader wasn't going to play nice, then neither would he. Go, Tsuki-chan. The shiny Dratini had come a long way since her hatching in Celadon, and was now a Drago Knight. Naruto tended to train his team every day, so the fact she had shot through the levels to evolution mere months after hatching wasn't that abnormal. He had actually startled Mamoru the first time the teen had seen his unusual training method, which was to pit his Pokemon against each other and in combination using shadow clones. He usually had one clone to a Pokemon, and the rest either working on new seals or jutsu training. And he still wore the weights, figuring that it would hurt him to keep using the things after how much they had cost to begin with. He even gave Mamoru his old set, though it took the teen a few weeks to get properly used to the additional weight. Little by little, Naruto was starting off the shinobi life early in his clan. Mutuo's eyes narrowed as the trainer immediately sent out an EV, too tiny for him to take seriously. He channeled his psychic powers towards the creature, expecting it to panic once midair. He didn't expect its eyes to narrow in annoyance as it turned into a wisp of sorts with a cry of Jinneon. Naruto was grinning at the look Giovanni shot Shifter. Jinneon was one of the lesser-used forms in Shifter's arsenal, mostly stemming from the fact he was generally uncomfortable with ghosts. He could tolerate ghost Pokemon, but he had a fear of ghosts. Shifter, use Nightshade, said Naruto calmly. Shifter's eyes narrowed, as it blasted Mutuo with ghostly power. The psychic type was taken by surprise, and was knocked back quite a bit. Giovanni snarled, and commanded the Pokemon to get back up and finished Shifter off. The very way he said it made Naruto's hackles go up considerably. Like he viewed this Mutuo as little more than a tool, or a means to an end. He was so angry that he did something that would later bite him in the ass. He made a deal with Giovanni that if he won, he could have Shifter. If not, the man had to hand over Mutuo to him. Since he was naturally greedy, Giovanni accepted, only to watch as Shifter turned into his dark form Umbreon and completely dominate Mutuo using attacks Naruto had created out of boredom. He left the gym feeling pissed, and with an Earth badge he didn't really want. All he knew was that he had to check up on the Pokemon Giovanni had been abusing without a thought towards its feelings or needs. Naruto released Mutuo well outside Viridian after an hour-long fight with his clones to release any anger and rage he felt towards Mutuo's treatment. Once he was properly calm enough to do a diagnostic, Naruto let the psychic type out in full view of his bewildered traveling partner who by this took most of his quirks in stride. He still didn't know whether to believe Naruto's claims of being from the future though. Mutuo looked at Naruto impassively, mostly because he didn't like humans and could see the Kyuubi inside the boy. So he was naturally very shocked when Naruto told him bluntly what he was going to do, which at that point was a mild checkup to ensure Giovanni hadn't abused him too much during his short life. He did frown at the results, saying that Mutuo was a clone, but didn't say a word. To his anger, it appeared Giovanni had only given Mutuo the basest of medical care, not even allowing it to have the most simple of inoculations for Pokemon with psychic abilities. Fortunately for Mutuo, Naruto had all the required medicines in his professional medical kit. It was something given to all doctors over level 5 if they didn't already have one. Mutuo watched as Naruto gave him the needed injections and eventually pronounced him healthy, if a bit malnourished from such a nutrient-lacking diet that the scientists had given him. Then Naruto looked him square in the eye and gave him a choice that Giovanni never did. Naruto could destroy Mutuo's Pokeball, thus giving him his freedom, or he could travel with Naruto for a while to see that not all humans were so callous to Pokemon. Mutuo decided to join Naruto for a few months, if only to learn what the being inside the boy was and how to defeat it. He had no idea that the preemptive checkup the boy had given him and the inoculations had actually saved his life, as they kept him from getting a rather hard to detect, yet still very deadly disease from being out of the labs. So what was the deal with the glowing hands? Asked Mamoru. He had seen the boy's prowess at normal medical care, that of medicines, herbs, and needles, but the chakra use was new to him. That was medical chakra. It can treat injuries at a fraction of the time and it's faster than relying on machines in the field. Only a level 3 doctor can use it outside hospitals or their teacher's watchful eye, because if you use too little it doesn't work, too much and it does damage instead of heals. Naruto spent half the night explaining healing chakra to Mamoru, leaving the interested Mutuo to listen to the talk as Naruto was one of those trainers who tended to let his team out more than just for battle and meals. Case in point, the fact Kurama and Shifter were quietly talking to Mutuo while they walked through the forest. Mamoru had noted early on that the blonde preferred sleeping outside in forests than any hotel room. When asked why, Naruto had replied that he had gotten used to sleeping outside a long time ago and that the trees made him feel at home no matter where he was. After that he went back to showing Mamoru Taijutsu, which he called martial arts for some reason. Later that night while the Pokemon, including the 2 that Mamoru had, and humans ate, Naruto led them in a lively discussion of how traditional careers could be applied in other ways. Namely that of the breeders, trainers, and rangers. Every so often Mutuo would pipe up and ask a question, and aside from the rather comical look on Mamoru's face when he initially spoke, they treated him the same as a human companion and answered him without a hint of condescension. It was because of this attitude that Mutuo was quickly realizing that not all humans were the same. Naruto never ordered Mutuo into battle, despite being his trainer. Instead, he had the psychic Pokemon observe the fights under a simple illusion so Giovanni couldn't find him. As far as ordinary travelers knew, Mutuo was a human named Mike and preferred to observe battles than participate. Considering it was either that or the cramped Pokeball, Mutuo preferred to be human instead of being inside a ball that could be stolen with ease. Shortly before the Pokemon Championships were to begin in a week, Naruto once again gave Mutuo options. He could leave and live away from humanity if that was how he wanted, or he could stay on for a little longer under the illusion that Naruto kept up via seals. Mutuo decided to leave for a while, as he wanted to see the world now that he had a better understanding of humans. Traveling with Naruto was like being around the sun. He was so bright and warm that you couldn't help but want to be a better, stronger person. It was why his bond with his Pokemon was so strong, they loved him like family. "Hey red, green, blue," shouted Naruto loudly. Mamoru calmly waved. "Hey Naruto. How's it hanging man?" asked Red. "Just fine," replied Naruto without missing a beat. Green made a disgusted face that any female could interpret as boys. "So who's your friend?" asked Red. "Many times distant cousin. Meet Mamoru Uzumaki," said Naruto grinning. "Yo," said Mamoru. "What's your profession?" asked Blue abruptly. He respected Naruto, who was one of the few who could beat him easily, but he had no idea about this kid. "Magician and trainer. Naruto's been helping me out with my acts," said Mamoru calmly. "Cool," said Red. As they chatted, they idly went to different stands to shop. Naruto had to excuse himself for a moment when he saw Hinata, only to reappear with his girlfriend 5 minutes later. According to her, she needed to get his next book as the publisher was getting antsy for some reason. Something about fans of his adventure series, which was set in pre-Cataclysm era due to convenience, wanting the next book now. Fortunately Naruto had one almost finished, based on his brief travels with Mewtwo. Had he known that the Pokemon he had rescued from Giovanni was a legendary in his time, he would have been a bit more cautious about what he told the psychic type during his time with him. One of the only major things he had done was change the opinion of the then young Mewtwo of Jinchuriki, which made it easier for them to get Pokemon, who normally couldn't handle being around them. He didn't notice Green and Hinata leave the group for 15 minutes, or the look Green was shooting him next to a giggling Hinata. Naruto was about to head back to the stadium when he heard someone having a coughing fit. It took him 2 seconds to locate the person coughing, and a few moments to realize why. The poor guy must have been an asthmatic when he was a kid, or had been regularly exposed to fine powders growing up. One of the cases he had been taught by Tsunade was that of a child during the Second War with a rather odd lung issue called asthma that managed to make it to shinobi life. He had been a poison expert who specialized in concentrated doses, though when exposed to a larger dose made of dust he nearly choked to death. According to Tsunade, who examined his corpse, his medical condition combined with overexposure to fine powders during his younger years made him more vulnerable to dying from choking. Especially since he lived in the desert. It was still a mystery how the kid lived as long as he did in such a dusty environment and still managed to be an effective ninja. "You alright, James? That's the third time you've had a coughing fit from the pepper?" asked his friend, a woman with red hair. Further inspection revealed them to be the same idiot duo who kept trying to capture his partner Shifter. Naruto was at the booth giving James a look. "Were you exposed to fine powders between the ages of 10 and 15, he asked seriously. From the grimace James gave, it was obvious he had. "Former asthmatic, I bet too." "How did you know?" asked James. "I'm a level 5 doctor. I can treat humans and Pokemon, but I specialized in Pokemon. From what I can tell, the tiny sacs in your lungs have been contaminated by something, most likely fine powders." "How were you exposed to that?" "Is it dangerous?" asked Jesse. "It can be deadly if it's not checked and cleared out." He would have had to be exposed to high doses of something like poison or stun powder, maybe even sleep powder in an enclosed area over a prolonged period of time for it to be this bad. And it would had to have been around the time he had asthma. From the look on James' face, he knew exactly what caused it. "Look, while I am young I am a qualified doctor. You should really have this checked out before it deteriorates into a more serious condition." "Do you have any emergency contacts?" asked Naruto. James shook his head. "I cut ties with my parents when I ran away. It's partially their fault in the first place." "What happened?" "They found this girl and tried to make her my fiancé. She terrified me and used to have her Gloom use its powders on me all the time, and my parents never listened to my complaints. Eventually I had enough and ran for it," said James. "Gloom's powders could cause this, combined with your medical history. Let's get you into a hospital and get this cleared up. Maybe a copy of this issue will get them to leave you alone about the whole fiancé issue." James had an X-ray done of his lungs, and was prescribed some pills to clear out the sacs that had been infected by Gloom's powders. At Naruto's suggestion, they sent a copy of the results to James' parents with the note that his health had been damaged by the Gloom that belonged to James' fiancé, who scared the crap out of him with how much she terrorized him. Ironically enough, James told Naruto his friend Jesse looked nearly identical to said fiancé, but didn't terrify him nearly as much. Naruto suggested that if his parents still insisted he marry this girl who nearly killed him with her negligence, then he should try eloping with Jesse to force the issue. It was clear that there was feeling there, but they were unsure how to proceed. Naruto had noticed Jesse reading the charts, and correctly guessed she had some medical training. He offered to let her and James travel with him so he could make her a qualified nurse at the very least. He needed to brush up on basics anyway. Considering her dream was to become a nurse, but she had been sent to the Chensei school by mistake, she all but jumped at the offer. Team Rocket didn't even care that the two quit the organization considering their success rate was so bad. They didn't even wear the correct uniforms. "Well, that was boring," said Naruto. He had come in third place in the Pokemon Championships, having beaten Green out and allowed Red to beat him. He wasn't in it for the fights, he was in it for the experience. Besides, he was more concerned on how to start Jesse's training, shinobi style. Back in Konoha. "Ha. It's about time he learned the headaches of being a teacher," said Tsunade when she got the news. "What's going on?" "Naruto found a prospective nurse, and he's going to train her in how to be a good medic. Apparently she was sent to the wrong school by mistake." Shizun laughed evilly. She could see why Tsunade found it funny. Should we make him stew a little or send him some books to work with? Let him stew for a bit before we send him any help, said Tsunade grinning. Back with Naruto. It was James who caught Naruto experimenting with the raise-non. He startled Naruto so much he accidentally destroyed a tree, drawing his companion's attention. On the plus side, Naruto now knew he could expand the small ball and do greater damage. All he had to do was perfect it. What the heck was that? Asked Meowth. He seemed to like the Everstone necklace Naruto had given him. It would allow him to get stronger without ever worrying about evolving. Raise-non. Something my dad made. Anyway, I'm a shinobi, not like that pansy Koga, and that was me using pure chakra manipulation, said Naruto. You're the one who humiliated Koga Uchiha, asked Mamoru. Naruto blanched. His last name is Uchiha. Yeah, but everyone just calls him Koga. Naruto started banging his head against a tree. Why do I have the horrible feeling that I'm the cause of the Uchiha/Uzumaki rivalry, he asked to himself. What? Nothing. Anyway, who's cooking dinner tonight? Asked Naruto. It's my turn, said Mamoru. So what was that blue ball in your hands? It looked a lot like a Pokemon attack, said Meowth. Raise-non, or spiraling sphere. It's a condensed ball of chakra that goes in multiple directions and can cause massive damage. What's chakra? Naruto sighed. Chakra is a mixture of both physical and spiritual energy. It's inside everything, from Pokemon to people. Some, who have had their coils unlocked, are able to manipulate it to a certain extent. Where I come from, only people who have had these coils unlocked and have passed a test are allowed to even have Pokemon. What? Why? Asked Jessie. Because we don't have any healing machines like the ones here, and healing a Pokemon that's been injured, let alone had their stats changed by an attack, is expensive. That's why I came here, to train and hopefully bring back some machines so the rest of the village can have a Pokemon like the rest of the world. So why are you a doctor? Don't get me wrong, I'm glad someone's finally teaching me how to be a healer, but aren't you a bit young? Asked Jessie. Because in my village, there are 3 main jobs. Trainer, breeder, and ranger. Trainers are pretty much the standard. They train with their Pokemon and go on missions. Breeders are our doctors. We heal Pokemon and humans alike. Rangers are the border patrol and those sent to rescue stranded trainers and Pokemon. I know one woman who went to the breeders for her first Pokemon egg and got the wrong one because the test had been pushed back and she had been running late. As Naruto explained, Jessie and James were entranced. Shinobi sounded like superheroes with how they could fight side by side with their Pokemon. They were a little disappointed that he couldn't unlock their coils, since they were far too old, but since he specialized in healing without chakra out of necessity, he could train Jessie without becoming frustrated with the fact she couldn't pick up most of the techniques he was used to. She would probably be delegated to training the new breeders on how to use machines. So your grandmother's recalling you to Johto because she heard Uzumaki was the one who humiliated Koga? Asked Naruto. Yeah. She said that rumor came back that the one who did it was Uzumaki, and she wants to meet you. Well, what are we waiting for? I can train Jess on the way there, and James can get some more grass types to play with. Naruto had noticed a real weird effect James had on grass types. It was like he had some sort of scent that attracted the things and caused the carnivorous ones to try and eat him. Fortunately, James still liked the grass Pokemon despite the way his former fiancée had used her gloom to terrorize him. So what's the Uzumaki clan like? Loud, exciting, and not at all inclined to follow the tame ordinary life of the trainer. We're encouraged to expand how we define ourselves. Both my parents were magicians. Though they'll definitely be grilling you on sealing, since we've started expanding on that area. It's just so useful, said Mamoru. Sounds like fun. Oh, and they won't hesitate to get you drunk once they find out your real age. I have only one question about our clan, and it's the only thing I need to know. Will there be ramen? We practically inhale the stuff, said Mamoru. That's all I need to hear. Lead on. The first thing Naruto thought when he came upon the landmass that would later become Uzushio in Johto, the very first thing that came to mind was big. The second was that it was very lively, warm, and welcoming. The final thing that struck him was the fact that almost everyone who claimed the Uzumaki blood had bright red hair and jewel-colored eyes. Then he smelled it, something that had his mouth watering. Ramen. He hadn't had proper ramen in months since that blasted hangover. He vanished from his spot so fast that if anyone from IWA had seen him they would have said he was the second coming of the fourth. He left an actual afterimage in his wake, causing Mamoru and the others to blink in surprise. 10 bowls of miso and keep 'em coming, said Naruto loudly. Aye, said the chef without hesitation. Naruto only vaguely heard the chuckling turn into full-on laughter behind him, too engrossed with his ramen, which was salty from his tears of joy, to care about what his clan thought. Definitely Uzumaki, even if the hair is wrong, chuckled Mamoru's grandmother Yuki. Jesse and James sat at a table a little ways from Naruto, who was devouring his 12th bowl and didn't look like he would be stopping anytime soon. The bowls were bigger than his head, and two openly wondered where he put it all. However, it was when Yuki saw Jesse things really turned interesting. So tell me, how is Karen? Jesse blinked. How did this woman know her mother's name? I'd recognize those green eyes of yours anywhere, child. Karen was one of our best nurses before she left and got married in Kanto. Jesse admitted sheepishly. Mom died shortly before I got admitted into the wrong nursing school. She never told me what her maiden name was though. Yuki smiled. Then it's long past time we got you started on seals. Yuki looked at the blonde shinobi who had finally finished off the rest of the stock in the small ramen stand, to the owner's delight, mostly because Naruto paid him in full with a tip to boot, with open amusement. So, Koga would be considered a ninja throwback by your standards. The outfit is something we mock openly back home, confirmed Naruto. I understand you bring with you sealing books and music. I can do more than that. I can get Obito or Hinata to bring back academy books so you can learn how to use chakra. Not like it would be used regularly until much later after all, and the Uzumaki clan were known as the first to use it, said Naruto shrugging. Well, you're not the first musician we've had in the clan and you won't be the last. And bringing Jessie here means she can get the training she missed out on because they sent her to the wrong school. If Jessie could get a high enough ranking with the nursing community, she could get a Chinsei or a Happiny Egg to raise as her assistant. Jessie had made friends with a Chinsei in the nursing school she was sent to, and Naruto had asked around. That Chinsei could be made into her partner if she could get a good ranking, then she could see her again. Who's that playing the choral pipes? Asked one of the Uzumaki. Sounds like that newcomer Mamoru brought back. You know, the blonde. He's good. The two walked towards the music, and there sitting with a group of other musicians was a cheerful blonde keeping in tune with the others with ease. When they switched to one of the Uzumaki favorite folk tunes, the blonde did his best to keep up with the others, as he didn't recognize this tune at all. When he finally took a breath, he got a standing ovation from the clan. He grinned sheepishly, because he wasn't used to playing for such a large crowd. Naruto was twitching. Let me get this straight. They have ruins, in Johto, that have strange Pokemon inside them that look like letters. Yup, said Mamoru. And it just so happens to be close to the Bellsprout Tower and the gym that specializes in flying types. Right, when's the first flight out? Fly yourself, said Mamoru. He was working on his tricks. I would, but I haven't got a flying type on me, and I just sent back Trapper and Tsuki-chan, deadpanned Naruto. Didn't you say your teacher had a flying one? Naruto blinked. I actually forgot about that. He's actually the only ghost type I mind being around, said Naruto. Naruto made a call and had Drifter switched out for Bones. However, he also got an extra. So let me get this straight. Tsunade Baa-san said you're banned from active missions for a month, said Naruto openly amused. Obito looked at him unrepentant. Apparently I played one too many pranks during my downtime, so when she visited the house to deliver an ultimatum and saw you were switching out your team, she told me I either take a long-term mission or come here. What in the name of the sage did you do to piss her off that bad? There's also the fact that they were planning to send someone to spar with you so they can be sure you're not lacking in training. I'm bored, said Obito. Well, I could use an able assistant to help me in the ruins, said Naruto. What about me? Asked Mamoru amused. You're our guide, said Naruto deadpan. So this is Johto. Neat. That's only because the matriarch didn't give you an impossible mission like she did Naruto, said Mamoru. Impossible mission, said Obito. I have to retrieve a silver wing from Lugia in order to prove I'm capable of leading the Uzumaki clan. Apparently it was their way of choosing candidates for clan head, said Naruto. Because the Uzumaki's patron legendary was Lugia, those who had a chance to lead the clan had to retrieve a small part of his wing. usually a piece that had been shed. And since the Uzumaki scattered in Naruto's time, he had to get the wing in order to be taken seriously at all. So where exactly are we going anyway? Ruins of Alf. Once I'm done there I'll swing by the gym and Sprout Tower. Why aren't you hitting Professor Elm's lab first? Why bother? Besides, it would take me 2 days to get to the ruins and chances are we could just call him. Isn't this the time of year for new Pokemon trainers anyway? Huh. Didn't even notice that. To the crumbly old ruins guaranteed to give us all headaches, said Naruto. The other two snickered. Got anything yet? Yawned Obito. They had been at this for 2 weeks. These damn letters keep changing. Wait a minute. Naruto leaned in closer with his light. The O blinked at him. Gah. No wonder I haven't made any headway. This whole wall is covered in unknown. What are unknown? Asked Mamoru. He was as bored as Obito looked. They're these weird Pokemon that look like letters. There's 26 in all and the ancients had this annoying habit of using them to leave messages, explained Naruto. He was starting to develop a sincere dislike for them after 2 weeks of trying to decrypt the runes. Now that he knew what he was dealing with, this should be much easier. Finally. I think I got it. Well, what's it say? Asked Obito. Our words shall remain here for the ages, said Naruto, reading the first one. Thus, we shall erect a Pokemon statue outside. They possess great insight and refuse the outside world. We humans must learn to walk in harmony with them. We depart for their sakes. That's it, said Obito. 2 weeks of boring work, with the only excitement being the random traps, and that was it. Not all archaeology is exciting. Most of it's dead boring. Hell, the fossil hunt I went on with a bunch of bone collectors nearly put me to sleep. Now that I've figured out what the hell these messages are saying, we can explore more of the ruins. No way. Not a chance in Inma's fiery hell. We are going to the town so you can battle, and then I'll beat the snot out of you for forcing me to endure this snooze fest. I don't know how you can stand it. Try listening to Iruka-sensei drone on and on about the history of the elemental countries, then we'll see what's boring, deadpanned Naruto. Either way we're challenging Violet City's gym. Who's the leader there? Faulkner. Flying type specialist, said Mamoru. He had a guidebook out that he had bought in the city when he realized how boring it was going to be. Flying type. Joy, said Naruto grimacing. You know what? I'm so bored I might challenge this guy myself, said Obito. Think Granny will let you go on the gym battle route? I think she'll pay me for it. Remember, she said I wasn't to return for a month, said Obito grinning. Sweet. Hey Mamoru, what do you say we prank the crap out of the Johto regions? Asked Naruto. Mamoru smirked. I'm an Uzumaki. Pranks are our bread and butter, he replied. The challengers are Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Obito. Only one trainer may battle at a time. Only the challenger may switch out. Go, Yodai. The Nido Queen Naruto had captured in the Safari Zone came out with a roar. Obito grimaced behind Naruto. That Pokemon had been a menace from day one. A Nido Queen huh? Kinda overkill for the first gym don't you think, said Faulkner. Considering I've never used her in battle before this point, so I don't really know how she'll act around me. Not really, said Naruto. In that case, go, Pidgeot. If this kid wasn't holding back, then neither would he. Obito sighed, before he looked at the ref. Can I get my battle scheduled for 2 days from now? Otherwise I'll just feel cheated, he asked. The ref nodded. Yodai, use Iron Tail on Pidgeot, said Naruto gleefully. The Nido Queen sniffed at him, but she did as he asked. For a trainer, he wasn't entirely bad. She just wasn't used to him yet. The tail narrowly missed the flying Pokemon. Pidgeot, Whirlwind. Massive gusts of wind hit the Nido Queen. As one of the side effects of Whirlwind, she was forcibly shifted out for another Pokemon. Ironically enough it was one of the Pokemon Jiraiya had given Naruto when he deemed regaining their loyalty a lost cause. Drifter. What is that? Drifter, who's a Drifblim? Sorry about that girl, but he kinda forced you out, said Naruto. Drifter crooned in response. She didn't mind Naruto, who was by far infinitely more tolerable than Jiraiya was. Faulkner got over his shock at the odd Pokemon. Pidgeot, use Aerial Ace. Drifter, use Gust. Seeing Faulkner's look of shock, his Pidgeot narrowly avoided the blast. Naruto knew better than to attack with any of Drifter's ghost moves. They wouldn't work anyway because of the fact Pidgeot was a normal type. Drifter, hail. Basketball-sized hail began to rain down. Sure, Drifter took a little damage, but so did the Pidgeot. Naruto kept having Drifter send Pidgeot into the hailstones. Eventually Faulkner called Pidgeot back, not wanting his partner to suffer any more blasts. Pidgeot is unable to battle. Go, Pidgeotto, said Faulkner. Return, Drifter. Go, Yodi. The Nido Queen was more than a little irritated her fight came up short. She was raring to go now. Spike Cannon, Yodi. Pidgeotto did its best, but it still got nicked by 2 or 3 of the blasts. Because Yodi's ability was Poison Point, the bird got a minute amount of poison in its bloodstream. Pidgeotto, use Aerial Ace. Yodi, Iron Tail. Yodi slammed her tail into the bird Pokemon as it came in for an attack. Pidgeotto, cried Faulkner. Yodi, Ice Punch. The Nido Queen slammed a fist of ice into the bird Pokemon, freezing it instantly. Pidgeotto is unable to battle. Winner is Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto rummaged through his bag and found an ice heal. He handed it to Faulkner who used it on Pidgeotto. Sorry about that. Maybe I should get some new Pokemon if they're this much overkill, said Naruto sheepishly. Yeah think, said Obito sarcastically. You know most people tend to only take one of their Pokemon when they go to a new region and then catch all the native ones when they do a new gym challenge, said Mamoru idly. And it wouldn't have killed you to inform me of that before we left, said Naruto. You know what this means, don't you Naruto, said Obito. Road trip to the Pokemon Center, said Naruto. Yup. So let me get this straight. You want to transfer most of your team back home because they're too strong, said Tsunade. Yeah. We damn near killed this guy's team and he uses them to test out beginners. Someone neglected to tell me it was customary to take only 1 or 2 of your usual team and simply catch the native ones once you enter a new region, replied Naruto, glaring at Mamoru. You didn't ask, said Mamoru. And would it have killed you to tell me that when I told you we were heading for the ruins of Ulf? Mamoru grinned at him. Is he an Uzumaki of the past? She asked dryly. Yup. There's your reason why. Unless it's a prank or something equally worth noting, he probably didn't even remember, said Tsunade rolling her eyes. So can you make sure someone takes care of the team? Actually there's a third option. Seems someone's finally realized that the last member of the mainline Uzumaki is the one writing all these books. We've had an influx of survivors from Uzushio for several months now. We're just waiting for you to claim your heritage before we open up the clan estates. Naruto blinked. Okay, that just means it should be open in a few months. I found out that anyone from the main line has to retrieve a silver wing in order to be considered as a clan head. Lugia has been known to live in the Johto region, and with my luck I'll eventually run into it, said Naruto. Well until you get a silver wing and make sure to leave a blood sample on it so we can verify it's yours, they're staying in the Uchiha estate. Sasuke's been staying in your house because the fangirl problem has only gotten worse. So long as he feeds them, he's free to hide there, said Naruto with a laugh. He's taken over your garden, said Tsunade with equal amusement. Again, so long as he keeps it up and feeds the Pokemon, I don't care. By the way, are you good with Obito joining me around Johto? Keep him there. Do you have any idea how much trouble he's caused? He damn near started a war with Kiri. Okay, how in the sage did you pull that off? Asked Naruto. Zabuza visited with the new Mizukage. She got caught in a village-wide prank and nearly melted me with lava, said Obito blandly. Ah. Did Zabuza at least have a laugh? Obito smirked. She damn near gelded him for laughing at the feathers and syrup in her hair. Bet Haku got a kick out of that, snickered Naruto. Anyway, be sure to keep sending back supplies. We've almost completely reverse-engineered those machines you sent back, and chances are the civilians will be able to have Pokemon of their own, though the ranking exams will still be restricted to Shinobi for the time being. At least until we have a better understanding and are able to improve on those healing devices. Keep that damn Uchiha idiot out of the village for a while, otherwise I'll have to strangle him, said Tsunade. Can you at least put me on a long-term assignment under Naruto's command? Already did, idiot. I'll send the team back. And I'll give Naruto someone to spar with so he doesn't fall too far behind, said Obito with a chirp. Chances were he could switch with Hinata every other region. Apparently Tsunade had the same thought. Once you leave Johto, let me know so I can send Hinata with you. The amount of pining she's been doing is getting on my nerves, said Tsunade deadpan. Soon Naruto transferred all but Shifter and Gabby back home. And then he took out the Growlithe egg he had gotten from the Inyazuka. Now seemed like the perfect time to raise his Inyazuka partner. Obito transferred all but his Combusken back, and then took out his own egg, a belated birthday present from Kakashi. It was a Houndour, one of Kakashi's pack. So now that you two have your team, where to next? I mean, once Obito challenges Faulkner anyway, asked Mamoru. We're doing a gym crawl, you tell us, said Naruto flatly. Well, it's going to take a day or two before Faulkner's ready to battle again, so let's hit Sprout Tower, said Mamoru, looking at the guidebook. Lead on. Obito's battle with Faulkner was a lot less intense compared to Naruto's. To be fair, Obito only used his first Pokemon, Combusken, to beat the bird Pokemon. Combusken was a fire and fighting type, and Faulkner's still recovering group was no match for it, especially since Obito kept spamming his sky uppercuts. Faulkner had to close the gym for a week before he could allow new challengers. Obito's eyebrows were twitching. You mean to tell me you've been so hung up on training your team that you've neglected your own, he said. Outside of mastering the one-handed Rasengan and keeping up taijutsu practices, I don't exactly have time to train. And what happens if you encounter a shinobi who won't hesitate to kill your Pokemon team? Naruto twitched. He had thankfully been with teammates to back him up whenever he encountered someone that cold-hearted. What do you suggest? In between gyms I'm going to bring your shinobi skills up to speed. You're already a monster at Pokemon battles, but you need to improve yourself for a change. Mamoru spoke up. I agree. You're a bit weak, skill-wise outside of Pokemon. Jerks. Grumbled Naruto, but he knew they had a valid point. When it came to the shinobi life, he barely knew the minimum requirement for genin. He needed help. Fortunately Obito was a classically trained shinobi. Before he met Naruto, most of his time was spent on ninja training, instead of his team. And that training was with Minato, Naruto's father. Mamoru woke up the next morning, took one look outside the tent, then went back in. Either he was dreaming or he wasn't awake enough for this. Once he splashed some water on his face to wake himself up properly, he went back. There was only one response to what he was seeing. I'm not making breakfast, he said flatly. Naruto snickered. Boss already considered that, so he's ordered 4 of us to do it until we reach another town. He's a better cook than Obito, ramen obsession notwithstanding. Yeah, and I can barely boil water. Naruto learned how to cook out of survival, and Hana had to learn because it was a womanly trait. So they suffered through several lessons together. Some had laughed her ass off after hearing them curse about the burns. Naruto at least seemed to get it once they moved on to Pokemon food, but Hana would forever be banned from the kitchens. Either way, Naruto abused the hell out of his clones when it came to cooking. As if summoned by the smell of food, both Naruto and Obito quit beating the crap out of each other. That was a good workout. Yeah. I haven't had this much fun since Ankone took me to Area 44 for a camping trip for a week. Naruto rarely had a chance to practice his shinobi skills. Because the teachers who trained the ninja had it out for him, and half the time treated their Pokemon as little more than pets. So he spent most of his time with the shinobi who treated their teams as ninja animals, and as a result his shinobi skills barely qualified as genin level. Obito was one of those who trained as a shinobi, but rarely had time to train their team, despite wanting to. So they made a compromise. Naruto would help him train his team for 3 days, and Obito would train Naruto for 3 days. The last was their day off. Right now they were in the middle of Obito's turn. Remind me again why you're training yourselves instead of your team, asked Mamoru, shelling out the food. While Naruto is already the strongest trainer in our village, if he doesn't bring up his own skills up to snuff, he'll never become clan leader, let alone Hokage, deadpanned Obito. Earning the 5 Kage badges was only one of the requirements. To be elected Hokage or even considered for the spot, he had to have at least high Jounin level shinobi skills to pacify the other half of the village. And because shinobi skills were important. If you couldn't match blows with your strongest Pokemon, then how were you supposed to keep them safe when they were injured? Besides, it's kinda nice to wear myself out for once, seeing as how I rarely have the chance to sit still unless I'm reading. Or writing. Speaking of writing, dibs on the manuscript. Naruto rolled his eyes before he handed Obito the current manuscript. He heard the glee-filled shout from his friend/brother, because seriously, Obito was more like his brother than Sasuke was, when he realized that the main character was based on him. Like it? Yeah. Good. You're doing shadow clone training once we're done with breakfast, said Naruto. Deal. Shadow clone training was when Naruto made upwards of 50 plus clones and Obito worked out their forms. Being able to bench press a fully grown Snorlax wasn't worth much if you couldn't hit properly to do the most damage. And Naruto still kept up his weight training even after finishing the official Akimichi challenge to all shinobi. It was meant as an incentive to get shinobi to train more, and to date the only other shinobi to earn a Munchlax egg was Rock Lee and Might Guy. So while Naruto worked on his manuscripts, Obito would have his clones doing katas for hours. Or until Naruto finished. He got all their memories, so it worked out, since katas was one thing clones could actually speed up exponentially. And while he was doing that, Mamoru would work on his ceiling with the occasional pointer from Naruto. It was more or less a way for them to work out the kinks of breakfast for 2 hours before getting up to leave. By lunch they would be on the road again. So what are we doing again? Asked Naruto, once the campsite was fully packed and sealed up. Mamoru officially loved seals. They made traveling so much easier. Well, since there's no way in Arceus name we're going back to the ruins, we're going through Union Cave. Rumor has it there's this weird sound that come from the deeper parts of it every Friday, said Mamoru shrugging. Weird sound. Yeah, almost like a moan. Trainers go in, and according to them it's some sort of water Pokemon. Today's Friday, isn't it, Obito? I think so. Wait, what do you have planned? You need more Pokemon, and something to complement your combustion. A water Pokemon would be great since it could ferry us on water, said Naruto as if speaking to, well, himself. Okay, fine. But your clone army is going to deal with those freaking Zobats, shouted Obito. Mamoru nodded in agreement. Or I could bring out Clear and have him layer the place with supersonic, keeping them out of our hair, said Naruto, sweat dropping. He understood their annoyance, he really did. Zobat were a pain in the ass if you weren't in the mood for grinding experience for your team. Especially in caves where the damn things would pop up for hours if you didn't use a repel. Naruto headed to the first transfer device he could find and added Clear to his team. Now he had Shifter, Drifter, the Growlithe egg that was close to hatching at this rate, and now Clear. Obito had Combustion, but the rest of his team was back home. However, there was no way they were catching a Zobat or fighting them. They would be liberally spraying repel and using supersonic to keep the blasted things far, far away. Naruto was twitching when he saw what the water Pokemon was. Yes, it would be useful if only to cut down on how much swimming they would have to do, but it was completely useless outside of water areas. Well, at least now they knew why there was a strange moaning sound. Lapras were quite vocal. If you guys don't want to catch that thing, I'll be happy to, offered Mamoru. Lapras were rare. Naruto sighed. Then an idea came to him. Hey Obito, how rare are Lapras eggs in Konoha? Rare enough that the only people who have one are Zabuza and Asuma for some reason. Both are male. Give me a minute. I might capture this one, said Naruto. He sent a clone underwater with a flashlight and it dove deep. It came back 5 minutes later. It's a girl, boss, and I hate you because that water was freaking cold thanks to that Pokemon in there, complained the clone. It handed back the flashlight and popped. Naruto shivered. Cold was an understatement. So what do we do now? Asked Obito. While he didn't mind catching Pokemon, a Lapras didn't suit him. Besides, Naruto was the breeder, not him. Naruto eyed the Lapras before an idea hit him. If you catch that Lapras, I'll trade you Gabby for it, said Naruto. Why? Wouldn't it be easier to catch it yourself? Asked Mamoru, confused. Traded Pokemon get more experience than normally caught ones, besides Obito's been wanting a dragon for a while now and I know he'll treat her right. If nothing else, I could always get one of her eggs later, said Naruto. Gabby deserved better than to live in the training grounds, and she liked Obito well enough. And it wasn't like she couldn't see Naruto since Obito lived with him. Considering the state he found the Uchiha grounds in, he stated firmly he was not moving in. Sasuke apparently agreed with this sentiment, and as long as they vacated the house whenever one of them had a girlfriend over, the 3 males could care less. It was cheaper than paying rent at any rate, and so long as whoever was there at the time took care of the Pokemon that stayed there if the others were absent, it all worked out. Besides, it kept the fangirl horde from stealing their clothes. Safety in numbers and all that. Obito gave the sigh of the damned, before he started walking on the water to challenge the female Lapras. The things he would do for a Gible, even a baby one. "I hate you two so much right now that words cannot express it," said Obito, before he sneezed. That Lapras hadn't liked him at all, and had made him know it in spades. He had gotten so thoroughly soaked that once they were out of that stupid cave he got a massive head cold. And they wouldn't stop laughing at him for it. "Look at it this way, you only have to deal with a pissed-off Lapras until we reach the next Pokemon Center and you'll be getting a Gible to train," snickered Naruto. "I know. Achoo. But why couldn't you let me catch another Pokemon and just get the Lapras yourself?" whined Obito. Naruto had an evil grin. "Because I had to send a clone to check the gender, and there was no way in hell I was going in that water after it shared the near hypothermia conditions," he said cheekily. Mamoru cackled. Naruto was an Uzumaki alright. Obito's eyes blazed with fire. "You are going to suffer in ways that would make a bad hentai written by Jiraiya would seem like a dream. The minute I figure out how the hell to activate Tsukiyomi I'll make you pay for this. You get first dibs on Naru's first eggs," said Naruto. "And suddenly I've decided not to make you suffer in ways that make pain seem a blessing. I'm still kicking your ass tomorrow though," said Obito. "Bring it on, old man," said Naruto snickering. Obito was really Kakashi's age, but he sure didn't look it. "You suck," said Obito. "That's what she said," said Naruto in a sing-song voice. "It's official, you've been corrupted by Jiraiya or Kakashi." "I can't tell which at this point," said Obito, snorting. It hurt his sinuses but Ninja could handle a little pain. He still couldn't believe Kakashi became such a pervert after he had died. He was still an ass though. "So who's the next gym leader we have to face?" "Bugsy. He specializes in bug types," said Mamoru. "Shino and the Aberame clan would probably love to meet him." "Bug catcher. More like living hives. The Aberame literally turn their own bodies into hives for bugs to come out of. So they naturally specialize in bug types. I gave Shino a Trapinch because I figured he could use a flying type that wouldn't be hurt by ground. Trapinch became Flygon eventually, and those things looked enough like bugs that it would definitely fit in with Shino's team." "Please tell me you're kidding," said Mamoru wide-eyed. The two Konohamanin looked at him. Mamoru gulped. "That is just plain freaky." "Why?" "They're just bugs," said Naruto shrugging. Mamoru had a sudden thought. "You think this Shino kid would like to join the bug catching contest in Goldenrod? It happens every week and it's an all-you-can-catch game. So long as you use the Pokeballs they supply you can catch as many bug types you want until the time runs out. Best bug gets a prize," said Mamoru. "That definitely sounds up Shino's alley." He could only hope that Celebi would let him bring Shino here, because he would probably get a real kick out of this place. As a matter of fact, he could probably bribe Shino in joining them for a bit and call it a mission. Tsunade Baa-chan would likely approve of it. He could only hope Celebi would agree to ferry his friend over. Achoo. Naruto took one look at the slowpoke inside the well, and became beyond pissed. He popped out a clone with Kyuubi inside it. "What do you want, brat? Want to put the fear of Arceus into some assholes who think chopping off tails is acceptable, even if they are slowpoke? Did you just say chopping off tails? As in what that dem snake apprentice did to your..." If there was one thing that was sure to piss off a multi-tailed fox, it was the threat of having said tails cut off. Especially for something as stupid as fashion or just because they could. It was why he had reacted so violently to the attack on Naruto's 9 tails. Naruto nodded. The Kyuubi clone popped its knuckles. "Right. Time to put the fear of me into some idiots," said Kyuubi, eyes glinting. Obito took one look at the pissed-off face of the clone and promptly dragged Mamoru acorn hunting. They did not want to be there when Kyuubi was that angry. "You do realize there's a man who uses acorns in town, right? Odds are the place is already picked clean. While that's excellent to know, we do not want to be here when he's that pissed off. Trust me, it's better for us to get out of his way," said Obito wisely. "For that reason alone you will not be pranked within an inch of your life tonight, monkey eye," deadpanned Kyuubi. Obito flashed him a thumbs up, before dragging Mamoru far from the soon-to-be ass-kicking the fox was about to unleash. They did not need to give him shinier targets. "Feel free to beat the living shit out of Naruto. He needs the training," shouted Obito. Kyuubi's cackle almost eclipsed the pissed-off sound of Naruto's shout. "Should I be worried? Only if you piss off the fox to the point where he isn't contemplating just eating you. Now hurry up. I don't want to be tempted into helping any idiots who piss him off, said Obito, pushing Mamoru deeper into the forest. Mamoru was about to make another smart-ass remark when he heard the first scream. It wasn't a painful scream, but it did reek of humiliation the likes of which even God had never seen. He started running deeper into the forest with Obito right beside him. Obito was right, there was no way in hell he was going to get caught up in whatever the hell Naruto just let loose. Now what have we learned, maggots, said Kyuubi, while Naruto was off to the side treating the slowpoke. One of them seemed to take a real shine to him because the damn thing was sitting on his head. Or laying on it at any rate. If it wanted to sleep there, he didn't care. We're sorry, Kyuubi-sama, whined the idiots who had been cutting off tails to sell to the highest bidder. You morons wouldn't happen to be Rocket Grunts, would you? Because the only people stupid enough to do this shit was Team Rocket, asked Naruto, finishing up treatment. The four morons stared at him. How did he know about Team Rocket? The most people knew of the organization was that it was a Kanto-based one. And that answers that question. Kyuubi, feel free to beat the shit of them so one of those weird Jennies can arrest them. With pleasure. Naruto stood up, ignored the sound of abject humiliation and pain, and went outside. The slowpoke on his head didn't seem inclined to get off it. He was out of the well where Kyuubi was having his fun when he heard the sound. Naruto tensed. Was it one of those idiots' friends coming to see how things were going? That went out the window when he realized what he was looking at, and his doctor's instincts kicked in. It was an emaciated Chikorita. The poor thing had to have been abandoned. Naruto picked it up and carefully began feeding it acorns, occasionally sharing some with the oddball slowpoke on his head. That was most satisfying. Next time you want to try your luck harnessing my power, let me know. I might be inclined to agree if you keep letting me play with idiots like that. Gotcha. Is it safe to come out now? Asked a voice from the trees. All clear, shouted Naruto. Obito and Mamoru came back with 4 massive pails of acorns. I can't believe you went up to the higher reaches of the trees just to harvest these things. What's the point of it? Asked Mamoru. He makes seal balls and it's cheaper than replacing the pokeballs that don't work. Besides, it cuts down on food costs. Oh come on. Naruto had, in the span of half an hour, caught 2 new Pokemon. Not now Obito. We need to get this little guy a chance to recover, and if you don't get off my head slowpoke I'm gonna call you Shikamaru, said Naruto ominously. The damn thing reminded him of Shikamaru when he was being extra lazy. How are the Pokemon in the well? Outside of taking them all to the center, they'll recover. The idiots who cut off their tails for profit, not so much. Besides, they're already in trouble, morons worked for Team Rocket. I thought they were Kanto-based. Not unheard of for something that big to have a secondary group working in another region as a backup, said Obito. It would have to be pretty big to shut down Saffron like it did, agreed Mamoru reluctantly. In any case let's seal these up, get these 2 to the Pokemon Center and let me switch out one of my team so we can properly enjoy our trip to Goldenrod, said Naruto. Naruto wondered if this was what it felt like to be in the presence of a master. Because watching the old guy shell out an acorn and then turn it into a specialty Pokeball, he felt like a mediocre seal ball maker. That didn't stop him from asking for advice, and seeing his work the old man knew he still had much to learn as well. Finding out how they managed to bring no less than 4 massive buckets of acorns made him smack Mamoru and Obito on the head though, to Naruto's amusement. Naruto gave him an entire pail of them in exchange for a handwritten book. In exchange he would explain how seal balls were made and how to make the ink he used to create them. Fuinjutsu wasn't something only a shinobi could use, but it made things a lot easier when you used chakra. And Naruto had passed on an entire book on how to awaken chakra coils to the Uzumaki clan. Mamoru and Obito were highly amused, but apparently Shino needed a few days to return from some mission. Once he was back he was absolutely coming to join them, if only to beat the snot out of every other person in the bug catch contest and train with Naruto. Fortunately Celebi had gotten the all-clear from Arceus and Dialga to bring a shinobi not blessed with a rare stone from the 3 cats, so long as they did nothing to impact the past in a big way. A short vacation in the past for a minor contest that had no real importance outside of increasing teams did not qualify as past-changing events. Besides, Naruto liked Shino. Enough said. That old man hits hard, complained Mamoru. Bah, if you want someone who hits hard, try Tsunade Baa-chan. She's been known to cave in heads by flicking her finger, said Naruto. Obito did nothing to deny that claim. Tsunade was infamous for her finger flick of doom. So what are you going to name those two? Well, since Obito said Shikamaru wouldn't fit this lazy bones, I've decided to call her Shogi. And this little guy I'm gonna name Hakimitsu, honey, since he seems addicted to the stuff, said Naruto, patting the recovering Chikorita on the head. The minute the grass type figured out Naruto would let it indulge in a simple jar of honey whenever it did well, it promptly attached itself to him. Besides, free acorns. Its last trainer had abandoned it after it ate one too many jars of the sweet stuff when he had been trying to get a pineco. The slowpoke yawned from on top of Naruto's head. It like its new trainer. You gonna try for a Slowking? Asked Obito. Pretty much. There was a ring from the Pokemon Center's phone. Naruto pulled it up to see, Shino? Ready to come to Azalea Town, pal? Shino held up a bag. He was going to enjoy his vacation for however long it lasted. Especially if it was a paid one by Naruto's gambling money. Transferring, now. Celebi took that as its cue and teleported Shino to them. Thank you for inviting me to your team, Naruto. Hey, the second I heard there was an actual bug catching contest in a forest full of bug Pokemon, I thought of my favorite living hive. Besides, beating Obito up gets tiring occasionally. Oi. Shino pushed up his glasses. This coming from a doctor with a slowpoke that has no tail on his head, he deadpanned. I fed the thing some acorns and it seemed to like sleeping there. Besides, it doesn't bother me and Shifter seems to like him. And the Chikorita. Hakimitsu has a honey addiction and I'm guessing the trainer didn't like it. Speaking of honey, the combi hive was added to your house 3 months ago. It's already got a sizable amount of bug Pokemon around it. Sweet. So Naruto, ready to challenge Bugsy finally? You bet. Shifter, you ready? V. Not a chance. I'm going first because last time we had to stick around for a freaking week before Faulkner could fight me since you kicked his ass, said Obito. Fair enough. But only if you use Gabby first, said Naruto. Deal. Shino and Mamoru watched the entire byplay with amusement. Shino was openly disappointed with the self-proclaimed bug gym. Their training is half-assed, the Pokemon aren't being fed for maximum output, and their overall attack strategy is easy to break apart, said Shino at the Pokemon Center. Naruto smirked. Want to kick his ass tomorrow? Absolutely, deadpan Shino. Bugsy's entire gym was an insult to his family, who raised bug Pokemon. He could understand using weaker Pokemon for the rookies just getting used to being trainers, but according to him those were his best Pokemon. It was pathetic. Well, in that case Shino, feel free to show this idiot who the superior bug-type trainer is, said Naruto. If he waited long enough Hakimitsu might have recovered enough to give battling a try. Shino pushed up his glasses again, but there was a pleased air about him. This, Busgy, wouldn't know what hit him. A Barame Shino from Konoha vs Bugsy. The challenger may switch out his Pokemon at any time. The winner will be declared when all 3 of the opponent's chosen Pokemon are knocked out. Begin. Go, Metapod. Butterfree, it's time to show this gym leader who the superior bug trainer is, said Shino. Bugsy annoyed him, end of story. He didn't even evolve his 2 cocooned Pokemon into Butterfree or Beedrill. And Scyther should have become a Scizor by now. Which was why the 3 Shino would be using was Butterfree, Scizor and Beedrill. Metapod, String Shot. Butterfree, use Air Cutter, said Shino sharply. Butterfree did it whirl, evading the String Shot entirely and sent sharp lines of air towards the cocoon Pokemon. Metapod, harden. His order wasn't fast enough. The Air Cutter hit long before Metapod had the chance to harden itself up from attack. Shino wasn't pulling any punches, because his next order was, Butterfree, Gust. With how hard the winds were, it was no real surprise that Metapod slammed into a tree, hard. Or that it had knocked the poor cocoon Pokemon out. Bugsy's eyebrows twitched. Go, Scyther, he said angrily. Butterfree, return. It's your turn now, said Shino calmly. Scizor. Naruto whistled. Someone bought a metal coat for his Scyther, didn't he? He said impressed. Ota-san gave it to me after I became Chunin last month, admitted Shino. Congrats. Take me seriously, shouted Bugsy, more than a little angry at how they didn't even deem him a threat. Steel Wing. Scizor. 1 hit. That was all it took. Scyther, said Bugsy. Scyther was his best Pokemon. Shino pushed his glasses up. Your attack style is juvenile, your Pokemon are half-trained at best, and you clearly haven't bothered to really train them properly. I find your entire training methods far too inefficient, stated Shino clinically. Never piss off an Aberame, especially when you're boasting that you're the better bug-type trainer, said Naruto sagely, nodding his head. One look at his battle with Obito, and Shino had actually been annoyed. He wasn't there for some paltry badge, he was there to curb stomp a self-proclaimed bug-type trainer for not taking his job as a trainer seriously. Grr. Go, Kakuna. Return. Go hurry, said Shino. An absolutely massive Beedrill came out. Even Bugsy's friends were impressed. Prepare to be curb-stomped, said Shino in a deadpan voice. There was no mercy. Remind me never to piss you off, said Naruto finally. Is it a bad thing we're letting Shino do all the battling, asked Obito. Considering these idiots are bug-type trainers and don't even bother to properly train their Pokemon before looking for new ones, no. I thought he was creepy before. Now he's just strange, said Mamoru, watching Shino dismantle yet another bug hunter in Ilex Forest. Apparently word had gotten out that someone had beaten Bugsy after his team was already weakened 2 days prior, and now thought Shino was easy game to show their bug Pokemon's superiority. Shino did not suffer fools, especially when clan pride was on the line. Either way they couldn't go 10 feet without some idiot bug catcher trying to challenge him, or demand a rematch. It was kinda funny to watch Shino lose his cool for a change. By the time the moon came up, Naruto healed Shino's team without being asked. Feel better. This is a most enjoyable vacation. You're welcome buddy, said Naruto amused. Shino had this amused air around him. So how much farther until we're out? Cause I don't know about you Shino, but I'm getting tired of being in the forest. Naruto had to concede his agreement. Besides, Bugsy wasn't exactly happy with how badly Shino had called him out as a gym leader, never mind as a bug-type trainer. And they had the distinct feeling he wanted a rematch if he found them. The sooner they were in Olivine, the better off they would be. Naruto and Obito turned to look at Mamoru seriously. What? How good are you at tree hopping? Asked Naruto. Tree what? The leapfrog thing as you called it. No. I can barely climb, let alone do that kind of crap. Obito smirked. Well then Magic Boy, you have 2 options. Either learn fast, or be carried. Because at this rate we'll never make it to Olivine before that gym leader comes after us for the curb stomping Shino did. Mamoru stared at the trio, before he finally said, anything but princess style. Naruto snickered and bent down. Climb on my back and I'll carry you piggyback so long as you hold shifter, he said. Deal. Once Mamoru was securely on Naruto's back, holding an amused shifter tightly, they took off like a squirrel on far too much sugar and caffeine. They barely missed an incensed Bugsy, who was after Shino for a rematch. Primarily because he had finally evolved Kakuna and Metapod after having them for so long. He didn't like the way Shino had upstaged him and then called him weak, at all. Mamoru was kissing the ground like there was no tomorrow. Naruto and the other shinobi snickered. I hate you so much right now. I could have gone faster and farther with those jumps you know. And now I'm hating you even more. Naruto snickered. Look at the bright side, at least now we get to watch Naruto decimate yet another casino. I heard Celadon actually has Larvitar as one of the prizes, said Mamoru eagerly. Larvitar, said Naruto, immediately thinking of Gaara's Chomper. Then he remembered something. Wait. I never saw Larvitar as one of the prizes last time I was there. I heard they updated the prize list since the magnet train was opened up. Okay, I am so hitting that later if only to give Gaara a breeding pair of Tyranitar, said Naruto grinning. He was sure Gaara would love it and so would Chomper. He still got a laugh out of the fact people were terrified Chomper would go back to his old habits of biting people. Besides, he might be able to bribe Gaara with Larvitar in exchange for more rare wind-style scrolls. So how good is his luck anyway? Asked Mamoru. He literally paid for one of those Pokemon Center healing machine thingies in a single day after hitting one, said Obito. Don't those things cost several million, said Mamoru, wide-eyed. I guess. He got the best one available at the time. Then I'm betting on whatever you're betting on, said Mamoru. That's the plan, said Shino in amusement. You each get a clone, deadpanned Naruto. Coincidentally this place might be run by Team Rocket again so don't feel sorry about cleaning them out of cash. Wait, If you think it's being run by Team Rocket, then why not close it down? Because generally people won't care if I clean the idiots out of their available funds and then beat the shit out of them after, came Naruto's immediate response. Then he noticed something on the shore. Obito, if you look real quick you'll see a Chinjo. Why don't you catch it for your team since it's a water/electric type? Good point. Obito went off to catch the oddball lantern Pokemon. At the moment the only Pokemon on his team was Blaziken. It had evolved after a spar with Naruto's Pokemon, Gabby, who also evolved, and a baby Houndour that hatched. Naruto's team had Shifter, Shogi, Hakimitsu, Homura, the Growlithe egg hatched, and of course Drifter in case of a quick getaway. He would have kept Lapras, but there wasn't much point carrying around a Pokemon that could only fight in deep water areas. Especially since it would be detrimental to the Pokemon's health and when they could walk on water anyway. Mamoru was in awe. Naruto made more money than he would see in 5 years. Wait, what are you going to do with the cash once you leave? What else? Dump it in the clan treasury for you to use however you want. Mamoru grinned. The Uzumaki clan was going to love the kid for that. To be fair, the money he had from the elemental countries wasn't any good in the past, just like the money from the past wasn't any good except for the oddball coin collectors. So what are we going to do with the coins since you already went in and cleaned the place out of actual cash? Get any Pokemon you want from the place. I'm getting a Wobbuffet myself, said Naruto shrugging. He was also clearing out their TM machines, those things sold like crazy in the village. Obito's eyes glinted. He had been meaning to get a Fire Blast one for his Blaziken. He could also get Blizzard for his new Chinjo. Obito made sure to hit the counter before Naruto did, trading in his coins for 2 Fire Blast machines, 1 Blizzard, and an Abra with what he had left. Those things were a pain in the ass to catch. Mamoru traded in for a Wobbuffet, a Cubone, and a Thunder machine. Then Naruto went up and cleaned them out of every technical machine they had, along with a Wobbuffet. Shino went in the next day to clean them out twice of the machines. So what next? Asked Mamoru, feeling rather pleased with the day. Well, we have 2 choices. Either we hit the magnet train and clear out Celadon's game corner of the machines and get the Pokemon we want, or we go shopping. Celadon, because then we can come back a second time and do it all over again, said Obito. Shino nodded in agreement. Naruto looked at Mamoru. If you want a Pokemon in there, let me know which ones and I'll front the coins. We're going in Underhenge to clean the place out. Just get me a Porygon, said Mamoru. Deal. One quick trip on the train, a disguise later, and Celadon Game Corner didn't know what hit it. They took the train back to Johto with evil grins on their faces. We're going to be Suyu upper rich once we sell these babies, said Obito with cash in his eyes. Hyper Beam was beyond difficult to teach a Pokemon, so the TM would sell for a buttload of cash. Hell, Anko might even part with one of her rare Dratini eggs for one. I know, right? I make a lot from my books, but these are going to get me extra scrolls I couldn't get otherwise, agreed Naruto. My clan will definitely support you once you earn the other badges, Naruto, said Shino, his glasses glinting. Especially since you fronted the cash to buy all those evolution stones we normally have to import. Be sure to share them with the others once you made a decent stockpile, Shino. No point holding back on our comrades after all, said Naruto. Indeed. Shall we hit the game corner again next time we visit? Asked Mamoru, grinning. Hell yes. In the meantime I'll start looking for underground poker tournaments, said Mamoru. But first, shopping, said Naruto. You go on ahead. There's an underground market if you know where to look, said Mamoru. Count me in for that, said Shino. Crowded malls weren't his cup of tea. Meh. Hey Obito, want to help me clear out Goldenrod's department store? Only if you agree to let me pick the clothes. You're in dire need of replacements, said Obito. Naruto made a face. Let me have my orange and we'll talk, he said. Deal. Besides, orange is awesome. Wow. Major upgrade, but why do you look like you're something the cat dragged in? Asked Mamoru. Obito looked like hell. Naruto looked smug. He doesn't have the energy of a squirrel on too much coffee and sugar, said Naruto. I'm not the one with a freaking demon in my gullet supplying me with enough chakra to supply an entire umbu's worth of jounin, said Obito tired. Shino snickered. So how was the underground market? Asked Naruto. Interesting. They had a parlor that teaches massage if you pay, and there was a small stand that sold several herbal remedies, said Shino. Herbal remedies, said Naruto, having a sense of dread. Shino brought out some roots, and Naruto backed away with a gesture universally used by all shinobi to ward off evil. Obito wasn't far behind him. Shino was confused. Foul, evil root, hissed Naruto. Shino and Mamoru stared at them both. What is so bad about a root? Asked Mamoru finally. Those things are the most bitter healing plant you can get your hands on, and it would take a master Irionin like Tsunade or her apprentice Shizun to mix it up so that it doesn't leave the worst aftertaste. I would rather spend hours looking for berries than use even one of those things. Pokemon hate them and only use them as a last resort, explained Naruto, glaring at the thing. Those things are horrible. Minato-sensei used to make us try them so we knew what they tasted like in case we were in the wilds and couldn't get to a medicnin or village that sold healing products in time. It took weeks for the taste to fade, said Obito, shuddering from remembrance. Shino was silent, before he asked, so if I slipped this into an Akimika's food or an Inyazuka hound's kibble? They would maul you without hesitation. Akimichi hate those things and even I've never dared to use them in pranks. There are some things you don't do except to your most hated enemies, and using those particular roots in food is one of them, said Naruto. Shino's eyebrows shot up. Naruto was a major prankster, so for him to openly admit he would never used something in a prank except to people he really hated, it spoke volumes of his opinion of them. Let's change the topic. The bug catching contest isn't for another 2 days, and the gym is run by a normal type trainer by the name of Whitney. Or we could scope out the park early, said Mamoru. Scope out the park. We're ninja, if we're not cheating, then we're not trying, said Naruto. Shino and Obito nodded in agreement. Mamoru snorted in amusement. Let me guess, you cleaned out the department store of all their TMs. Naturally. Do you have any idea how much we could make off selling them, or trading them for that matter, said Naruto. The ability to make the machines had been lost, and training scrolls weren't nearly as effective. Strangely, hidden machines were still around, but they were so rare that it was rumored that only the most loyal Jounin-level shinobi in the cages had access to the remaining ones. Tsunade in particular supposedly had the for strength, which she found a way to use on herself. It was how many explained her absurd strength and her ability to cave in skulls simply by flicking her finger. Naruto had yet to confirm or deny that rumor. So Mamoru, what's the deal behind these bug-catching contests? Supposedly the idea of a rich Kanto billionaire. Winner gets to keep the Pokemon they catch and you only get to present one bug type you've caught in the park as your entry. Winner gets a Sunstone, second place is an Everstone, third place is a Gold Berry and anyone who participates is guaranteed a berry as a consolation prize. So what sort of bug types are we looking at? Asked Shino. Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree, Weedle, Kakuna, Beedrill, Paras, Venonat, Scyther, and Pinsir. All of them under level 20 but no lower than level 7. Shino sighed. About the only Pokemon we don't have are Pinsir, Paras and Venonat. Scyther is harder to come by because they're so fiercely territorial. Only clan heirs or members who have distinguished themselves in the clan are allowed to try their luck at catching one since they protect the rest of the hive, said Shino. We can catch a breeding pair for your clan later, said Naruto. I think my father would prefer Paras, Pinsir, and Venonat. Though some new blood wouldn't be remiss, said Shino. Having a breeding pair of Scyther, or even a female one to breed with his Scizor would be a major boon and a bargaining chip for later.